Mr. Baker.
Good evening.
What's going on?
Not much.
I still got like 9 minutes on the clock. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right. I shall be right back. that. Who's yelling at me? Oh, Jesus. Yes. What's going on? Which one? West one. Which one? I think I can hear you. I think I can hear you. It's the only one that's got guitars in it. No. You're at West Entrance 1. Come up 3 flights of steps. The door right next to my van. There you are. All right. So this where you do your work from? Absolutely everything. You have a good time? Of course I do. We're on the meeting though. We don't want to talk about it. All right, can you? Yeah. There. Be in the picture. All right, Mr. Tanzi and I are in tandem tonight, so.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening.
Evening.
All right, 5:30 on the clock. Welcome everybody to the May 17th edition of the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals. All members are participating remotely. That would be Mr. Baker Senior. That would be myself, Mr. Tanzi right here. That would be Mr. Haynes, Mr. Baker Jr., and I think we're missing Mr. I don't see him. Mr. Galley is not here as we speak.
Didn't you say he wasn't gonna be able to make it?
I don't remember. I
I thought he said there was a meeting. I thought it was a
Thursday night.
Yeah, I thought it was a Thursday night also. So
Yeah.
let's give him some time. He's not. I don't think he's voting on anything that we're talking about tonight. So I don't think that's a big deal.
I thought he was on Schoolhouse. He's on.
Pick it up.
Hmm?
He picked up on Schoolhouse. I think he was taking the place of Mr. Tanzi when we were dealing with it because Greg wasn't there.
Right.
But as a voting member, I still believe that he is not a voting member.
Okay.
We can look at that. We can look at that at another point. Either way, let's see. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Moved.
Second?
Second.
Got a second. Mr. Galley is here, so that's a good thing. Roll call. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes,
myself, yes. Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi, Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior.
Yes,
Rock and roll. All right, let me read the, you'll add, open meeting, Wall Street Development Corp. Oh, all right. So from 5:30 to 5:30 to 6:30, we're going over the schoolhouse property and 320 Concord Street. Just continuing our discussions about the conditions. So for the first hour, that's what we're dealing with. Anybody that doesn't want to participate, doesn't want to, listen, you can shut your screen off, because again, for an hour, we're going to be sitting, we're going to be not talking about the next one, which is shingle mill. So, all right. Where are we? Deb, did you forward everybody a copy of the draft, the draft decisions that you got going on so far?
No.
All right, hold on. Where did I put it? There. This is, I'm gonna do a share screen. That's good, share screen. Can everybody see the Word document I got?
Yeah.
Is it big enough?
yes,
yes,
Okay. I think this is a pretty good first run at it. Attorney Galvin should be coming in, and again, he's gonna have to look at all this. Deb, since you did all the, all the prep work on this, what do you have that you think needs to be reviewed?
I think, I don't even know if I'm live or not. Okay, so what I think, I have some highlights, which I just have to double check things. I have some comments that I put in red, such as like which particular, like the order of things, and as far as like Pat's proposed conditions, where they would go, just to clean up any language maybe, in that 21, condition 21.
Okay. Was that a direct copy and paste from what Pat sent?
No, those
Okay.
were what we had discussed at the last.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I
Right.
have to still like format, and don't even worry about formatting or numbering or whatever at this point.
No, I mean, this is just compiling everything that we know of at this point. Where'd we stop? We stopped at like when it
We're
came to,
going, our next one is number 74. We went through 73.
and we were looking at Norman Street because that was all apartments. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Too far. All right, so we stopped at 73. The applicant shall be responsible for all required upkeep, operating, maintenance, repair, and upgrading of the drainage and stormwater management systems as specified in the approved operation and maintenance plan.
that should stay.
Yeah, that works because they are doing a couple different things.
Right.
The town determines that either the applicant or the Rockland Housing Foundation Inc. has materially failed in its obligation to maintain the drainage system in accordance with the best management. Sounds like that should all stay. Obviously, change Rockland Housing Foundation. Shall have the right to become written notice to applicant their failure to the maintenance issue in 30 days upon the property. On the property, perform the required maintenance, the applicant shall reimburse the town for the. I don't got a problem with that. Other than, other than the Rockland Housing Authority. That work for everybody? Water and fire protection. All buildings shall be constructed with a residential sprinkler system. Does anybody remember if there's a sprinkler system in there? I believe that because it's a change of use, if it's not in there, it's going to be required anyway.
I don't think there is one because in the fire department's comments, they said they'd have to have a sandpipe connection outside,
Okay.
and that's where they hook up to a sprinkler system.
There you go. All buildings shall be constructed with a residential. Okay, so.
We should leave that in just as written.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, it's just all buildings. There's only one building.
It's just as may be required,
Oh, it says
as may be required in such
Yeah.
circumstances, blah, blah, blah.
circumstance, the yeah,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
no, as yeah,
By the Rockland Fire
That-
Chief.
Hey, Rob, I'm at the town hall. I could ask Tom Rubel if you want.
I think that, I think that based on what we already know, I think there was no sprinkler system in there. They've already said that again, Mr. Baker said something about the standpipe has to be in there. So if that's the case, that's the only way they're gonna be able to connect, so.
I'm pretty sure that they have to have a sprinkler system in multifamily housing with that many units. in
yes.
it.
All right, so that maybe a little bit of, slight rewording, just because I just don't like the all buildings, because there's only one building, but either way, that's, that can be in there.
Just
Just,
change all the dots.
all fire lanes and emergency parking areas shall be kept clear at all times to ensure access by fire trucks and emergency vehicles. Fire lanes shall be posted with as such with signage indicating that any vehicles in such areas shall be towed at the owner's expense. I don't think that needs to be changed. All right. A new fire hydrant shall be installed on the subject property. I don't remember a proposed
No.
fire hydrant. All right,
That
76
can
is.
come up.
77, a dedicated 2-inch underground conduit shall be installed for the sole use of the Rockland Fire Alarm Division.
That's
think
the
he
fire
said-
block.
Yeah, didn't he say? I don't have the,
I
Does
think
anybody
the
have
school
the fire-
has I think the school has a fire alarm box on it.
pool does.
Hook-
Does anybody have does anybody have the fire department's letter, relatively handy? That a yay, nay?
I'm looking.
All right, everybody see that? Access road plans must include, must include an analysis of the new buildings, 3 or more stories in height above it shall be checked throughout the sprinkler system. So yes, sprinkler systems required. I'm wondering if this is what they were talking about. 2-way radio communication enhancement systems, when required, shall be maintained in accordance with, is that what he's talking about with the underground conduit? Mr. Baker,
No.
I'm going for you on it. No?
No.
Okay.
The underground conduit goes across the street to the telephone pole, and then they string a wire to the fire station.
Okay.
And when that box is pulled, then it sends a signal to the fire station.
All right.
Why don't could we just say,
That 2-way,
letter, say the conditions 1 through 8 on the fire chief's letter dated February 16th, 2022. All fire suppression systems and equipment shall meet the conditions enumerated, 1 through 8, as shown on the fire chief's letter dated February 16th, 2022.
Either that, and we do it that way and condense it and make it simple, or if we can get the Word document from Deputy Chief Heaney, we could just have a simple cut and paste with just a section, call it, Rockland Fire, something like that, and just have all that under
Conditions of the Rockland Fire Department, and go cut and paste through that.
Exactly. Does that work?
yes.
Deb, can you make a phone, just make a note to.
I'll take care of it. Yeah,
I referenced the date of this letter.
yes, I will.
Oh, yeah. I move this. I don't think so. Okay. So we got that. So when you're coming back to this, number 77, that can go away. The applicant shall provide 18-foot fire lanes on both side yards. I think that goes away. That has nothing to do with us.
Right.
Not that one. The development water distribution system, including on-site facilities and connections with that, I don't think has anything to do with us. Oh, wait a second. Wait. No, it
Yeah.
does. have-
Keep it in its
It
entirety.
does.
Yeah.
Domestic water has to be separate from the fire alarm system.
Yep, including on-site facilities and connections to municipal water line shall conform, yeah, that should stay. The applicant shall perform testing in accordance with the water department requirement to ensure that the water supply and pressure development is adequate for fire protection into fire chief, whatever. That should stay. The development shall be serviced by the municipal water system, that should stay. Site inspections, the board's consulting engineer shall perform site inspections for determining the development's compliance with the decision at the applicant's expense. The consulting engineer shall represent the town's interest and shall observe all stages of the total project construction, including but not limited to abilities prior to backfill in order to provide required certifications to the board. The applicant shall also independently comply with any environmental monitoring obligations of the final order of conditions. The last sentence can go because there is no order of
Right.
conditions.
Correct. Keep that.
So we're cool there. Fees. The fees for review by the board's consultants, including site inspections, engineering, environmental monitoring, or financial. Okay, that kind of should all stay in there. It doesn't matter about order conditions, and that's just a cut and paste anyway. Shall be obligated. The applicant shall make a $5,000 deposit made payable to the town held in. The town shall maintain a balance of 1,000. Any fees for environmental monitoring, as well as the selection of environmental monitor, fall within the purview of the Rockland Conservation Commission. That can come out. That one sentence can come out. The board shall work cooperatively with the applicant, and that can come out. No ground disturbances shall commence until any and all past due fees are paid. That should stay in. Applicant shall deposit fees estimated for pending action in sufficient sums to maintain a $1,000 minimum escrow balance. Everything other than kind of talking about the Rockland Conservation Commission and environmental monitoring can.
Right.
So, applicant shall obtain all required federal, state, and local permits and shall pay all applicable fees. Of course, that's going to stay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go back to number 76.
76. Yeah, they weren't installing a new fire hydrant.
Okay, so delete that.
Yeah, that can come right out.
Okay.
As
thank
well
you.
as 77. 77 can come right out also.
Correct. Yes, got it. Okay, thank you.
Actually 78 can come right out too, because there are no 18-foot fire lines on both sides of the yard building, blah, blah, blah. Gravel footpaths shall be created. So we don't have any of that either.
Okay, so that's the section that I'm going to reference, the fire department conditions, correct, from their letter?
Yep. No, that works.
All right.
And if you want anything that refers to fire lanes, there it is, water and fire protection. So right under that, we can highlight, and if you want to, again, because we still have to come up with a list of everything, and as Mr.
Right.
Tansey said, maybe you just refer to that document.
Okay.
Rock and roll. 76, 77, 78 are out. Site inspections, we already talked about that. Fees, we already talked about that. We already talked about federal and state performance guarantee. No building shall be occupied until the improvements specified in this decision, including paving and landscaping, as set forth on the plans of record, are constructed and installed so as to adequately serve the total project and the buildings and facilities on the total project site. If such improvements are not constructed or are not approved, the board may authorize release of a certificate of occupancy, provided that sufficient security in a form and amount satisfactory to the board and approved by land use council is submitted by the applicant to guarantee performance and or completion of such improvements.
Well, that's generally not as applicable with one building.
That's kind of what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
but again, do we have to reword this?
The building can't be occupied until all of the paving and landscaping improvements are completed.
No building shall be occupied until, and just leave it at that.
Yes,
Okay. Deb, you got that? Yes?
I got it, yes.
Rock and roll. Prior to full security release, satisfactory as-built plan shall be provided to the board. Are we,
yes.
we're looking for, we're gonna
Definitely.
keep that, but we are looking for a full security release?
Well, if we're gonna hold any security, then we won't release it until they filed an as-built plan.
Did we say in here yet that we were requiring that? Who would end up requiring?
You just did for engineering review.
Clarify
$5,000
security.
All right, so that's
Clarify
gonna,
security. Is that like a performance bond or is that just like
So,
an escrow?
If this was a for sale project, we would probably tell them you could sell off some of the units before you've completed all of the others. But this is
Okay.
an apartment building project,
Correct.
so I don't think that we're gonna be issuing certificates of occupancy until all of the units in the building are completed.
okay, so instead of saying full security release, blah, 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 no occupancy permits no occupancy permits shall be released until as-built plans are provided and reviewed by the town and our review engineer, something along those lines.
Yes.
That's coming up.
Oh, we got even better. There we go, certificate of occupancy. So maybe 86 goes away and comes into this place. The building commissioner, inspector of the town shall issue a certificate of occupancy only after such time as the applicant's consulting engineer as certified in writing that construction substantially complies with the approved site development plans, this decision and any modifications thereto, including all required as-built plans, and the board's consulting engineer concurs. All right, that kind of takes place of what we just said. Mr. Haynes are right on top. So that's good. Number 88, prior to issuance of any occupancy permit, the applicant shall provide a certified individual interior as-built plan stamped by a registered architect or land surveyor. 100%. That's going to give us an interior as-built of everything.
I struck your land surveyor because you were so incensed about that last time.
Right. What do you mean?
You were upset that the individual interior as-built plan was going to be stamped by a land surveyor.
Well,
You're right, Tim. That's gotta come off.
No, see, we do architectural plans all the time that get recorded with the registry of deeds for condo plans. So I can see it either way. And the big problem is you wacky architects measure in inches.
I was just kidding because you were so incensed about it last time.
Oh, I know. I think we're good. Does everybody agree that we're good on 88? We just, as written can go in there?
Yep.
Okay, so that works.
So
Final
does
as-built plan.
Question 86, does that stay or does that go?
86, we can take that out. Because again, I don't think there's gonna be.
86 it.
Yeah, that very well played, sir. 88, 88, 89, upon completion of construction of the project infrastructure, including but not limited to the driveway and stormwater and wastewater systems and utilities, applicants shall engage a professional land surveyor and a professional engineer to form an as-built survey based upon field observation, prepared an as-built plan. We've already talked about this up top, but the applicant's registered land surveyor shall provide a final certification under their signature seal stating that the development construction substantially conforms to the approved site development plans, construction documents and specifications, and all conditions of approval. Subject to review by the board's consulting engineer. I don't have a problem with that as it stands. Additionally, the applicant shall provide an as-built survey and a foundation as-built plan to demonstrate that the foundation conforms to the approved plans. That can go because it already exists. The applicant should submit to the board final as-built plan stamped by the applicant professionally original landscape required. All buildings, landscaping, parking, driveways, roadways, and site utilities, stormwater drainage, should provide 3 paper copies and an electronic copy in AutoCAD format, then acceptable to the board. We can leave that as is, I think. And it's literally repeating everything that we've already said, that's fine. Redundancy is good. The board shall retain jurisdiction over the development to ensure compliance with all terms and conditions of this decision, to protect the interests of the town, Rockland. If there are any changes to the plans, the applicant shall come back to, yep, keep it. Yes.
Keep it.
Provisions of this comprehensive permit shall be binding upon the successors and assigns of the Rockland. That's gonna add, I think that's obviously change that. Maybe 4. Any change in financial interest and or ownership and or control of the development must be approved in advance by the board. Such approval shall not be unreasonably withheld.
Keep it.
Keep it.
Please.
The applicant shall submit copies of all federal, state, and local permits to the board at the time they are issued. Yep, keep it.
Yep.
If any provision of this decision or portion of such provision or the application thereof to any person or circumstances is for any reason held invalid or unenforceable, the remainder of the decision or the remainder of such provision and the application thereof to other persons or circumstances shall not be affected thereby. I have no idea what I just read.
Keep it.
Keep it, all right. Prior to commencing site development work, the applicant shall demonstrate to the satisfaction of the board that it has received final approval from the subsidizing agency, the HCD, and funding from HUD in accordance with the project of eligibility letter dated that. So obviously, we're going to have a project eligibility, whatever letter dated, whatever date it is. There is no HUD funding on this. So that can come out. And
Didn't
again,
they say they were applying for something? I don't know about HUD funding, but isn't there some loan or something they were applying for something? So we should leave.
whatever their funding source is, we need to coordinate that with this condition.
Correct.
Okay. Deb, you on top of that?
I'll take care of it.
Rockin'. If the building commissioner / inspector determines that the development plans and or construction are different from those approved by the board or its consulting and the board of commissioners shall notify the board forthwith, which shall determine whether these changes are substantial or not in accordance with the decision. If the board determines that the changes may be substantial, it shall decide whether or not to allow these changes, blah, 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 blah. I think we're good there. I think we keep that. If there is, yes.
Yeah, just a question to Attorney Galvin. I assume there's some sort of established definition for substantial.
Substantial completion, yes, we usually can, when the property is eligible for a occupancy certificate, it's generally deemed substantially completed, but there's typically a punch list, and that's deemed final completion.
Okay. He's talking about substantial or not in accordance with this decision. Basically, if the changes that
Yeah. I mean, look, we really rely upon Tom Rubel to determine whether there's a conflict between the plans. And, if something's an inch off, we don't worry about it. But if it's 2 feet off and it affects an exterior wall, he probably says, I got to go back to the board.
If he encounters anything like that, he's just gonna say, send them to the board. The board's they're gonna come to the board. We're gonna look at it. We're either gonna agree with them or disagree with them. And that's basically what it comes down to. So it's either appeal his decision or
we hardly ever have issues like this. But Tom knows when to send it to you, and he errs on the side of caution, actually.
Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're good as is. 98 can stay in.
Yeah.
99. Any dispute about whether the development plans are being implemented in accordance with this dispute shall be in the concerns of the board for its resolution. The board shall determine the appropriate forum for the resolution of the dispute unless otherwise provided by applicable law. That should stay. Additional site amenities such as swimming pools, garages, sheds, and other amenities, including all paved surface, shall constitute changes. Shall require approval by the board. I don't remember them talking about swimming pools, garages, sheds, or other amenities. I don't remember them talking about any of that. So I guess that should probably stay.
They're gonna put that little sitting garden out on the side.
Amenities. Keep
Not
it.
additional.
Yeah, I think everybody's in agreement that should stay.
All right, I have a question.
Sure, rock and roll.
Go back to 94, please.
94. Any change in financial interest and or ownership and or control of the development must be approved in advance by the board. Such approval shall not be unreasonably withheld.
So I think my questions are mostly for Attorney Galvin. Do we need a copy of the recorded deed?
Not necessarily. In this case, when I get the decision from you, Deborah, I'll probably edit this slightly to
Okay,
indicate that it gets approved in accordance with the specific regulation that authorizes changes of ownership.
now what about the limited dividend organization? When does that have to be formed by?
It's not officially a limited dividend organization until they sign a regulatory agreement with the Department of Housing and Community Development. So it doesn't have to be formed before this decision is issued.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Where do we leave off? It was in the hundreds someplace.
100.
100 additional amenities.
We did that.
Or 100 we were gonna
That's
keep in
okay.
there. This comprehensive permit shall be deemed final after expiration of all applicable appeal periods and after all appeals, if any, have been decided within 30 days, expiration, blah, blah. Department, recordable site development plan set shall also be filed with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds after approval by the board and its consulting engineer. Portable site, oh no, absolutely, that should be in there. I just know that the only plan out of all the ones that I saw that were suitable for recording with the Registry of Deeds was the A&R plan. Nothing else was suitable to be recorded with the Registry of Deeds. So.
That's their problem. They'll have to,
I agree.
they'll have to get, you know. to record it.
As provided in 760 CMR 5605 8A, the board shall file its decision within 14 days of its vote. 14 days of its vote with the office of town clerk, forward a copy of the applicant, stays. Any person or parties aggrieved by this decision may appeal pursuant, stays. Expiration, the applicant shall commence construction within 2 years from the date of the granting of the decision of project, no more than 4 years from the date of the comprehensive permit. Shall lapse. Construction, once commenced, shall proceed expeditiously as possible without interruption on a timeline submitted to the zoning board of appeals by the applicant. I don't have a
Okay.
problem. That waivers, okay. Board grants waivers as requested by the applicant only to the
Rob, can I
following
just make a
section.
general statement about the waivers?
Oh, please.
So where the town got into trouble with Rockland Housing Foundation is the town and the board were always trying to be helpful to the Housing Foundation to get that project built. The Housing Foundation sold that project and the permit in the middle of it, and the board had already granted a waiver of some of the fees, and it created a lot of problems when someone that wasn't supposed to be the beneficiary of that received a fee waiver, particularly for sewer system connection. So to make sure that the fees that we would normally get are all applicable in this case.
I don't remember seeing a one waiver in there when it came to fees.
Okay, but there is a waiver on the Housing Foundation one because it became
Oh,
a
yeah.
major issue with us.
No, I dig it. I'm not too worried about this because obviously it's gonna be the waiver list that we've already got going. We've already gone over it. We did already go over Deb, are you good with this at this point?
I emailed you the waiver list over Sunday night, the draft of it, which was specific for Holy Family
All right, hold on.
based on our previous meeting.
Remember the date?
Sunday night.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, it's Sunday.
15th.
The 15th, yeah.
15th is 16th. That's Deb, this Deb. Was it this one?
The draft, go
Oh.
back. It's the draft ones, conditions and waivers. Up
Up here?
yeah. So go over to One of those was waivers.
Yeah. Only checking can everybody read this? I'll download it and blow it up if I have to.
Nobody else has it.
Can everybody read this? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's still- Okay. All right, so let's just go again. R4 resident zoning permitted permission of multifamily residence exemption not required, so we're denying that as moot. Is that how we do that?
Is
Yes.
All right, so we deny that. They're in the R4 residence district. So the exemption is not required, so it's denied as moot.
Well,
Um,
is this their actual waiver list now?
yes,
Okay, all right.
Okay, copied from Mike Feely. So that one denied as moot.
okay,
Zoning district exemption, vote of the board 4-0. All right, so that was granted.
the vote doesn't count. It's just whether in our discussions, whether we granted it or not, and I
Oh,
didn't know
okay.
if we have to specifically vote on each one.
Okay, no, that's fine. Because we've gone over all these and I think
Right,
we already.
correct.
So everything that's granted is granted. I remember this one, no building shall be initiated until a site plan is first submitted and approved. Where they're going through this, and we said, I'm saying denied as moot because they're already going through site plan approval.
Excuse me, Rob,
Somebody
just,
to magnify that, if you
All
could.
right. Let me just download this.
I just got a message.
Yeah, at the bottom.
excuse me, Rob.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a language question. If we're denying a waiver as being moot, should we say denied as moot, just so there's no confusion as to the basis for the
oh yeah,
denial?
I thought that's all we were gonna do. I figured that was gonna be in there.
Okay.
Oh, granted, and let's see, accept, yep, denied, site plan review and approval, you're looking for that, denied moot, special permit, shall be required to construct established within bylaws, and shall be permitted on issuance of special permit. They're going through that, so I don't think we have to approve that, again, denied as
Right.
moot. All commercial, are to be constructed, design board review, regardless of their location. Okay, we've already said that's granted, and then this was the last one. From the condominium developments are subject to review, but it's not a condominium development, it's an apartment development, and we are the design review board, so we're doing that, so it's denies move. Everybody cool with those?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the last time we discussed the possible waiver of the moratorium on the street opening, and I don't recall what the result of that was.
Do we remember seeing an actual request for that?
No, it wasn't on their list, I don't believe, but it's something that we had talked about at a prior meeting, indicating an inclination to allow it.
Yeah, that's not a section of the zone. That's not a section of the zoning. That's a
Highway.
that's a highway department. Is it considered a bylaw or what's it considered?
It's one of the highway department's rules and regulations, I believe.
All right, as long as we can throw that onto there, again, design review, and then do a second, do another column, another table setup, kind of like the way that we've got it. And if you can find that in there, find their number, their section, their description. There technically was a request. It was a verbal request, I guess. And then we can say granted.
Would that follow under meeting all other boards and commissions of the town, city, and state? And
Oh, you're talking about just as a writ, just falls under just as a written condition?
right.
Probably, but redundancy is good. So, if we can have it, I would say, since this is all the waivers that they're like formally requesting, it would be nice to at least put that under there, so we can say that we did review it and we considered it a waiver. I think that would be good. Is everybody
Oh.
cool with this? Can I get this off the screen? Is everybody happy?
Should we grant the waiver with the approval of the highway superintendent?
And under the vote of the board, we can say, I
Right.
think I can say that. Granted, granted under the, Deb's got that. I know she's on top of that. All right, so that's all of that. I'm gonna get rid of that. We're gonna put that down for now and go back to this one. These were their waivers. Look at this, 4 pages worth of waiver, 5 pages worth of waiver, 6 pages, 7. Are we kidding here? I'm glad I wasn't voting on this. All right, after all the waivers, the Rockland project shall conform to the requirements of the Rockland Planning Board's rules and regulations and amended from time to time unless otherwise waived herein.
Take that out.
Right. Right.
Well, it's a, it's an apartment.
What? Why are we taking that out?
Still say, they're still, technically the planning board is they're subject to, they do the site plan review. So I would think that, and again, granted, it's comprehensive permit, it's 40B, we take the place of the.
Rob, it should stay, this really should stay in.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Nice, we're gonna leave that in there, 107, by granting the waivers from local bylaws and regulations specifically listed in this comprehensive permit, it is the intention of this comprehensive permit to permit construction and development as shown on the final approved plans. If in reviewing the applicant's building permit application, the building commissioner inspector determines that any additional waiver for local zoning, wetlands, health, or special permit construction are to proceed as shown on the approved plan, the building commissioner inspector shall proceed as follows. Any matter of a de minimis nature shall be deemed within the scope of the waivers granted, any matter of a specific, that should stay.
Yeah.
Again, that's redundant. It's redundant as to what he said before. Waivers from any and all town of Rockland's rules, regulations, and or bylaws not specifically listed above are hereby denied.
Denied.
In capital letters.
And
Underline,
green exclamation
italic.
mark.
Located.
All right, so we've gone through all of it.
Can I just make one suggestion on that last paragraph?
Absolutely.
Instead of saying not listed above, can we say not granted above?
Waiver from not specifically listed, well, not to, I don't see a problem either way. Who wants what? It doesn't matter to me. I don't see it. I don't see it
Listed or granted.
listed / grant.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, what if?
What about approved above?
No.
But, yeah, approved.
Yeah.
Listed above or approved.
I feel like Attorney Galvin's not chiming in on this, so no matter which way we go, I think it's okay.
It doesn't
I
make
have
a
no-
difference either way.
Yeah, of the three, I don't have a problem with it. Whoever wants to, if we want to keep listed, cool. If we want to put in a different word, whatever works.
The reason it said listed here is because the specific one that they asked for a waiver was listed. The board's action was identified, so it was technically listed. All right.
Sounds like we're keeping listed.
Sounds good.
So that goes through all of this. So at least we've gone through the boilerplate information. So that's good. Let me keep that up there for now. Go back to this. This is Deb's version. There we go. All right. There we go. I'm going to say that going through this is probably, at least at this time right now, it's not beneficial. if we have, so the thing is, I would want everybody to go through this kind of on their own.
Yes, please.
You know what I mean? I think that's better suited, for this rough draft. I'm assuming, Deb, you're gonna have some edits to this. Do you want to do your edits and then send it all out to the board? Or you tell me time-wise.
Yeah, I can do that.
If you think you got time to do that within the next, I mean,
Well, we're gonna meet again Wednesday. I'm sorry, Thursday.
can you have it in the email by, say, Thursday afternoon? Before the meeting?
I can try my best, yes.
I don't want to, I can't put this much pressure on. That's what.
No,
that's
I
what-
know.
Rob, we
I can
need to-
try. Yeah, if I don't, I'll highlight or I'll note areas that I can't.
Attorney Galvin, you were speaking?
Yeah, we need to remember that file inventory too.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yes,
that's
I
right.
know.
Okay. This one shouldn't be too bad because the organization that we got going on the website is rock solid. Saying that this one shouldn't be bad. Concord Street shouldn't be bad either. So we'll deal with that as it comes along. So yeah, if you want to take this and if you want to, make a few updates and get it to the point where the waivers list and stuff are in there, if you have that ability, maybe we can update that for Thursday's meeting, go through it, go through Thursday's meeting. Make some modifications throughout Thursday's meeting, and then it goes to Attorney Galvin for review. Make those changes. And then potentially the following week, assuming Attorney Galvin has enough time to make this happen, and assuming Deb has enough time to make all this happen. What date were they looking for a decision by? The 24th? Is that correct?
I believe so.
So if that's the case,
So hopefully this will.
basically we need this 100% rock solid finished on the 24th. All right, I don't know where our next meeting, I think that's when, did we have a meeting scheduled for the 24th to be able to discuss
No.
this on?
No, we do not.
Do we have anything on the 24th?
No, we do not.
Maybe we schedule a meeting on the 24th to officially go over this, make a vote, the whole 9 yards, and just deal with it on the 24th. Does anybody have a problem with that? It's the only thing and it'll be the only thing we schedule on for that night. Does that work?
Do we need a motion for that?
I would entertain a motion for that.
You don't. Just
don't?
need to have it on the agenda. Okay, just the way Deb has it now, because she has it on for discussion, deliberation, and potential vote.
All right, so that's right, and it's gonna be limited to the schoolhouse. So that'll take care of that, and so that basically, put it this way, we've got one more meeting on Thursday to kind of wrap this up, wrap the draft of it up. Then between the 19th and the 23rd, it's in the hands of both Deb and Attorney Galvin. You guys ready for this?
Yep, I'm waiting for it.
Okay. Deb?
And
Yes.
Deb, don't get too stressed over the fine details. That's
Right.
my job to make it the final. So even a partial draft is better than a complete draft. I'll edit it from there. All
Okay,
right?
yes.
All right, so we're good there. I get 6:16 at this point. I'm gonna suggest that we take unless there's anything else that somebody wants to talk about when it comes to the schoolhouse. I suggest we take a break. Everybody use the bathroom if they have to. We got a big one right after this.
So do we have to continue this till after Shingle Mill?
Again, I don't think we have to, this one, no. This one, no, I think we're good here. It's not after the Shingle Mill, then it's Concord Street only.
Okay,
If you got questions, bring them up. I'm
So
ready
I'm
for it.
should I attach, the highway department rules and regs as an attachment or
No,
just reference them?
no, we just, well, there's a standard clause that says they have to comply with all other rules and regulations. So
Okay.
we don't have to attach anything.
Okay, all right.
And worst case scenario, if you want to, we've got it as a document, I think. I'm pretty sure we have a document that you can refer to it in the documents list.
Okay,
All right, I say everybody just take a break for the next 10 minutes. We'll see you at 6:30. Does that work for everybody?
yes.
All right, we'll see you in 10 minutes.
God damn it.
So it is hate speech, well, it's speech that our leaders hate. So because a mentally ill teenager murdered strangers, you cannot be allowed to express your political views out loud. That's what they're telling. After a shooting, it took Democrats just 3 hours to start blaming Republicans and conservatives and talk show hosts and Fox News. Their new motto seems to be, if you can't beat them, use your corporate shills to censor them. The justification is always some horrific shooting or a protest that goes wrong. But there you see on the screen a bunch of videos. Of course, again, responsible people reporting on the facts of this are not even trying to claim causality, which, by the way, investigators look at that kind of thing. That's a much more complex process. But if you watch Fox, all you would know is that this replacement theory is being made and presented to you as something less than its hateful, racist, anti-Semitic actual reality. And then it would be somehow elided from motivated the shooters, I should say the alleged shooter, according to his own screen. And then to top it all off, watch Fox. They have a slow down references that come up when they want to.
It's not just that the Biden administration and Democrats don't have a plan. The plan is not to have a plan. The plan. Now they have to get the midterm. Care of either future voters. They want to bring in as many as possible. Change the voting law.
Mute. There we go. And I've stopped sharing, so that's good. Oh.
They message you?
Go. All right, 6:29, got one more minute. We're trying to work with boilerplate information from a like 40B. So again, Schoolhouse and Lydia Square, they are apartments. This other one, Maplewood and Concord Street, were individual homes. So it's a matter of just making it all work. All right, 6:30. I'm unmuted. All right, 6:30 PM, Shingle Mill LLC, comprehensive permit remotely conducted continuance, public hearing on the petition filed on chapter 40B comprehensive permit by Shingle Mill LLC, care of Conoco, 41st Street, Bridgewater, Mass. 02324 to allow the construction of 236 units of residential housing, the project within two 5-story buildings on approximately 29.33 acres of land located at 0 Pond Street and 152 Wilson Street, the site. The applicant is proposing 25% of the units to be classified as affordable as per Mass General Law, Chapter 40B. The site is located on 0 Pond Street, Lot 13, Map 9, and 152 Wilson Street, Lot 68, Map 10. Roll call vote required. I don't know why. A copy of this application, materials, plans, and other documents are available upon request electronically from the town clerk by dialing 781-871-1874. Press 1, press 1 for the town hall, then option 6 for the town clerk's office, email address, clerk, zoning, everything's cool. All right, so we got that. And what else do we got? We got a zoning board, got a letter dated May 12th, 2022. From Counselors at Law, Walter Maroney. To me, Zoning Board of Appeals, 240 Union Street, Rockland, Mass. 02370, reason Shingle Mill Apartment, 0 Pond Street, 152 Wilson Street, Rockland, Mass. Dear Chairman Rosa, this office represents Shingle Mill LLC, the applicant, with respect to its application for a comprehensive permit to construct apartment units at the above referenced properties. Please let this letter serve as our client's request to continue the public hearing from May 17, 2022 to January 19, 2022, as well as consent to extend the timeframe for the board to close the public hearing pursuant to 760 CMR 56.053 through August 15, 2022. By way of explanation, the applicant has been actively working with DEP and recently completed field work that will necessitate modifying the site plan. The modifications are in process and 75% complete. Additionally, the applicant just received the May 6th report from RU Engineering and will require time to review and respond if necessary. We look forward to continue to work with the board on this project. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the undersigned. Sincerely, Walter Maroney. And Attorney Galvin.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it's July 19th, not January. You said January
Where did I say that?
when you were reading the letter.
Oh, well, you corrected me, so that's all I care about. Hearing from May to July 19th, 2022. But we looked at that, and I guess we have a conflict on that date. Deb, you came up with a better date?
So we can either schedule an additional hearing on July 28th, or we can have it on August 2nd, which would be one of our regularly scheduled hearing nights. But I don't know about, the selectmen also meet on the 2nd, whether Attorney Galvin, if that's a conflict for him or not. Both dates work for the applicant.
Okay, Attorney Galvin,
It's not a
what's your
conflict.
thoughts?
It's not a conflict for me. Do whatever is best for the board.
Board members, what do you think? What are your thoughts? I'm not, either way, I don't care. So it's whatever the flavor of the board is at this point.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue Shingle Mills till August 2nd, 2022 at 6:30.
I'll second that.
I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No, sounds good. Sounds like we're good. I need a roll call. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes,
myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Junior.
I'm not a voting member on this one, Mr. Chairman.
Well, then don't, then I'm bypassing you. Mr. Haynes, you were voting, correct?
Yes. And
Mr.
yes,
Haynes, to you. Mr. Tanzi, I think you were on too. Mr. Tanzi is a yes. I'm a yes. And it was a 4-member, I think, for this. All right, so again, Mr. Baker was a yes, I'm a yes, Mr. Tanzi, a yes, and Mr. Haynes is a yes. Deb, will you be able to coordinate and make sure that they know and get the extension and all that?
Yes.
Rock and roll. All right, so we've got that, so we're not gonna do it. So there's that. I heard a question.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes. Could I ask a question? What is that information in the letter that mentioned May 6th? They got some kind of documentation from May 6th that they want to look at?
Yeah, it's a letter from.
Who was that document?
It's a letter from the LSP that we selected that to review all of their geotechnical information that was submitted. That letter is currently on the website for review.
Okay, so that's from Vertex.
No, not from Vertex. We decided to go without Vertex because they are a local. We wanted somebody that was a little bit farther away, so there was no possibility of.
Okay. So I kind of missed that. So who is your LSP?
It's Rue Engineering.
Okay, so it's up on the website now?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem. Not a problem. All right, so that's continued. That's ready to roll. Did we have a time for the other,
no, it just said after Shingle Mills.
just right after Shingle Mill, we can go into it. All right, at this point, let's start talking about 320 Concord Street.
I believe we have to close the Shingle Mill public hearing.
I think you got to continue it.
No, we already continued it. We can't, we're not closing it. We just.
Okay, all right, that's what I meant. Okay.
Wait a minute, Rob, do they need to make a motion to continue the time frame to August 15th?
I thought we covered that in the other, but it's as long as.
Let's cover it.
I absolutely agree. So I got a motion.
Actually,
Was there a second?
It'll be August 30th
We're going to August 30th?
to close the public hearing,
No. We don't want to talk about closing anything on Shingle Mill just yet.
the extension of time.
Yeah, the extension of time.
Yes,
they grant us the extension of time. We don't motion and vote on it.
correct. But, okay,
Yeah, we have to get their extension.
Right,
That's not
right.
something that we plan.
got it.
All right, so that takes care of everything that we have to talk about on Shingle Mill. Now let's talk about Concord Street. We said Maplewood. Yeah, Maplewood was the decision. All right, this is gonna suck. All right,
Actually,
I heard it actually.
Deb wrote up a whole.
I thought it was Howard and Park.
Howard and Park is it's either condominiums or whatchamacallit.
Like an apartment building.
Yeah, Howard and Park is
Right, right.
either condos or apartments.
And
Right.
Maplewood detached home.
Maplewood is individual houses.
So if anything's like a little strange in this, it's roads, sort of roads and lots, but
Yeah,
it's otherwise pretty applicable.
Yeah, every day, and it's I think every single one works. It just needs a little bit of tweaking. The big question is, Deb, were you able to get a Word document on this?
No,
Really? Attorney Galvin, do you by chance have this Word document?
I sent the ones that I had from Mr. Renzo.
And Deb, none of them worked?
I have Howard and Park and I have, and I think that's why we started with Howard and Park. And then I have the Housing Foundation.
Okay, the Housing Foundation, that's Lydia Square. That's what we looked at for the last one.
Correct.
This that I have here for, again, 40B for Maplewood Estates, this is more applicable to Concord Street because it's individual homes. Like Mr. Haynes said, because you're dealing with lot lines and streets and roads and stuff like that, any of that's gonna end up getting taken out. But if we want, I can share my screen with the Maplewood Estates, and we can go over that real quick, or as quick as we can. Does that work for everybody? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that, I know it's crooked, but that's how the scan came in.
Yours is way even worse than mine.
All right, so we'll start right off on or about June 22nd, Maplewood Trust, the applicant represented by that applied for a comprehensive permit, constructed due. I'm sure Deb can take that and change that all to make that work. Do we advertise public
Karen?
hearing?
Could I just ask Deb a question?
Sure.
Yeah, Deb, on the rough draft that stated May 2nd, it looks like you've already incorporated a lot of the Maplewood into that, have you?
Yes, but that was Howard and Park.
Slight difference, only because again, Howard and
Okay.
Park is a whatchamacallit.
Yep, no, I got you. All right. My
Well,
misunderstanding.
either way, I think this is going to work. Do we advertise public hearing? Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals. There's
So
just
technically, if you just want to go to the conditions, I can probably deal with the rest of it.
kind of figured that. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was cool with this. Documents and okay, here's the list of documents. The letter from, preliminary plan, document entitled, following documents.
Findings. There it goes.
Did I bypass it?
Okay, right there. Findings.
Applicant has satisfied the jurisdictional requirements of 760 CMR 31 in that it is a limited dividend organization. Again, this is something that the Deb can pull out of the application as terms defined in that. It has received a determination of project eligibility, which I'm assuming that we have. Establishing fundability for a subject. Again, Deb can modify that with everything that's applicable to the project. Town of Rockland, number 2, Town of Rockland has not met the statutory, we already know that, nor is affordable housing located on sites comprising 1.5% more. We know that sounds like it stays.
Yep. 2 just stays.
Number 3, the property is located on, you know this, Deb's gonna change that, blah, 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 not a big deal. This is, as established in the Rockland zoning, approximately that is wetlands. We have no wetlands on the property, so that last statement. By the applicant was for the demolition of an existing dwelling and garage on the property and the development of the 92 single detached building, each on a separate lot. Obviously, that's not was for the demolition of an existing dwelling and garage. I am correct. And the development of 4 single-family detached residential dwelling units, not on separate lots. That can go in there.
All right, Ron,
Yep.
would you mind asking any participants to mute their microphones if they're not on the board?
Absolutely. Mary Parsons, mute yourself, please. Thanks, Mary. The initial proposal by the applicant was for the demolition of an existing dwelling and garage on the property. That's fine. I think that's there. And the development of 4 single-family detached residential dwelling units. The next part, that's gone. It should be in condominium ownership. So now 4 single-family detached residential dwelling units in condominium ownership. During the course of the hearings, in response to concerns raised by the board as to the design of the development, size and dimensions of the lots, the proposal was modified so as to reduce the number of units. That obviously isn't, that doesn't work. So that next statement comes out, thus comes out, capital T, the maximum number of units allowed and approved in the development under this comprehensive permit is 4 units. Number 5, there will be 1 entrance into the development at Concord Street, as shown on the approved, as shown on the site plan. Right away does not work, and so that right away gets taken out. Corn mill gets taken out.
Everything else from there can come out.
Yeah, the paved width of sawmill. Yeah, you're right.
It should just be like, we should have a description of what's going in.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just so as a condition, it stays in, but as like the way it's written, it just should describe what's there.
Yeah, this is just this is findings. This is just findings at this point. There will be 1 entrance into the development at Concord Street, as shown on the site plan. Get rid of that. Get rid of right away.
Servicing 4 detached homes.
That's number 4, right? 4 is about 4 detached condos.
Yep,
5
this
is
just talking about basically the driveway at this point, as far as I can see. They're talking about the roads and stuff like that, but
The access road will service 4 detached condos.
it's not an access road. That's the problem. I don't want to call
Driveway.
this is a road. It's a
Access
driveway.
We should describe it as a driveway. I
Yeah,
think.
I agree with them. There will be 1 entrance into the development at Concord Street, as shown on the revised site plans.
Mhm.
It says, skip it all the way down to where it says the right of way. Where it says the right of way, we could say the main driveway will be, and whatever it is on the site plan. I'd have to pull up the site plan. Does anybody have the site plan readily available?
No, but we get the point. I mean, just, I don't know, do we need to belabor it? It's X wide, it's so long, it's got a turnaround area.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that Deb is comfortable with it, because we're trying not to put any undue pressure on her at this point. That's really what it's coming down to. So if we can answer the questions.
Let me
You want to call it a common access drive?
Yeah, you could do that too. It's as long as we're not calling it a road or anything that a right of way, any misinterpretation of what it actually is. That's really all I want to do.
Because off of a common access way, you've got your individual driveway.
What you said, way. I don't want to call it a way. It's a driveway. That's one word. A way can be construed as a private way. It can be construed as a right of way. I don't ever want to, it's a driveway. It's a driveway, and that's it. We can call it a main driveway. That way there's no
Common access drive.
common access driveway, something like that, whatever, just as long as there's no, just as long as.
I want to have some way of.
Just say it's the main access drive.
Attorney Galvin just agreed with me, main access drive. The main access drive will be whatever the width is. I know Mr. Baker was going to look for it.
I don't have,
Hold on, hold on.
Wait.
hold- Come on. How do I- 220 plans, grading and drainage should have it. Eh? That was the last thing we could do. Come on. I swear it was on here.
What are you looking for?
The width of the drive.
Is it a cross section?
Yeah, it's gonna be. I thought he had the number on this one. That one, architectural waivers. Site plan lot 3, this should be all of them. Come on. Right here. Existing property line, fire edit view, remove things, show the storage.
Is that it? 20?
20, yeah.
But
So
is that a gutter to gutter or
I think that's gotta be done. It's not.
looks like it's got?
That looks like gutter to gutter. So let me go down to, come on. Right there. All right. So it's 10 with a foot on either side. All right, so now,
20.
no, 10 and 10, yeah, 20. 20 with a foot on either side. So
Outside to outside 22.
there'll be one entrance, we know that. Now, we come down to the main access drive will be 20 feet. It will be 20 feet paved, gutter to gutter, with a 1 foot berm, left and right. So an overall 22 foot wide. All right, so that works. So that the length of the common access drive from the entranceway to its termination point is approximately. Question is, did he give it? I don't know if he gave it. Yeah, I don't have a specific number, but it's 20 feet. It looks like it lines up with the end of this house. It's 20 feet shy. The side dimension is 297, 87, 77. So call it 270, approximately 270 feet long. That work? Yeah. Go back to this right away. We already said that. The length of the common access drive from the entranceway to its termination is approximately 270 feet. And that ends that. Because there's no other one. So that takes care of that. Deb, you got that?
Yes.
All right.
Rob, would it be,
Yes.
Coach should have put plus or minus after the 270?
It is approximately. The word approximately?
No, just put them, you usually put plus or minus.
With plus or minus if you don't have approximately.
Okay,
That's the point. I don't care. It doesn't really matter because
Either way.
as long as we're stating that we're comfortable in the fact that it's approximately 270 feet, roughly. So that takes care of that. As they are depicted in the drawing, CT data, revise Dean corner lots under the town. Now, number 6 is gone. As required in this decision, each dwelling unit will be serviced by a public water supply from the Abington and a public sewer connection to the system operated by the Rockland Sewer Commission.
Keep it.
Keep it. but we're gonna have to deal with it later on when it comes to the appropriate approvals from the individual, from the individual departments or individual departments or commissions.
That's number 8.
So I guess as is, we're good. The board finds that the board does not have the authority under the chapter to grant a waiver from the requirements of that for the provision of the water service. They never asked for it, so we don't have to keep that in there. That's the way I look at it.
He was asking for waivers for all the fees. A lot of fees.
Oh, wait a second. He was asking for fee waivers?
Yeah.
Yep.
For the water,
That's not.
everything.
No. That's not happening. In my opinion, that's not happening. Deb, do you have his waiver list?
Not handy.
Let me see if I can grab it here.
There. It's under plans.
Is it under plans?
Yep. You passed it.
Lighting, drainage, review, response.
It's the third one down under plans.
Oh, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Okay, let's look at these real quick. Multifamily residence not permitted as a principal use. That we would give him, that we would need to give him an exemption. Building and lot regulations. Okay. Area is, it is what it is. Maximum dwelling units that proposed. Before we're going to have to go into this specifically. They're just, I want to make sure that we're looking at it. Under this, where was he waiving fees? I don't remember fee waivers in this list.
The original list there was. Isn't this a revised list?
Waivers, it's not dated. It's not from the local requirements as follows outlined in table 1, reserves the right to modify said waiver list as may be necessary.
In his application, in table 1, in water and sewer regulations, he has waive all fees related to water service connections, waive water main tapping charge, waive residential sewer connection fees, waive all I&I requirements and fees.
Nope.
No.
We kidding here? Deb, will you be able to pull that out of the application?
Yeah,
So
Right,
table 1, water and sewer regulations.
All right, so we can take it, we'll take that out, and the board finds that it's saying that this says that we don't have the authority under Chapter B to grant a waiver from the requirements of the Abington-Rockland Joint Waterworks and Division of Water Service because there is not a board of the town of Rockland. The granting of this comprehensive permit is conditioned on the applicant reaching agreement with the provision of the water service by that. So that can stay. I think that can stay as written.
And that'll be our answer for the denial.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. The applicant has supplied to the board a letter to the applicant from the applicant has supplied to the board a letter to the applicant from the Rockland Sewer Commission dated that in which the Sewer Commission has indicated that the development has been pre-approved, which we do not have. We do not have a letter like this. I don't think we last I knew, they hadn't even met with the sewer department yet.
No,
So-
they haven't.
They haven't, right? Okay. So the applicant has yet to supply to the board a letter from the Rockland Sewer Commission, in which the Sewer Commission indicates that the development has been approved to connect to the public sewer system. Does that make sense? And again, it's just saying that we have yet to receive anything from the sewer department. The granting of this comprehensive permit is conditioned on the representation and is not intended to waive the requirement. The comprehensive permit is conditioned on, let me say this, the granting of this comprehensive.
Receiving approval from Rockland Sewer Department for connection.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Is conditioned on the receipt of an approval from the Rockland Sewer Commission. And is not intended to waive the requirements of the Sewer Commission or to exercise any potential authority that the board might have under Chapter 40B to require the Sewer Commission to allow the development to connect to the public sewer system. Did I redo this? Should I say that again?
Remember, there was a connection for the two houses that were originally on the two abutting lots.
Yep.
To both connect in. Okay, so this project isn't approved to connect in, but the flow from at least one unit probably was already accounted for. So they basically have to comply with the rules and regulations of the Sewer Commission in terms of the type of connection and when they're going to be able to connect.
Did you get that, Deb?
Or if they're going to be able to connect.
Right.
Well, it's probably a question of when, but we don't know when.
I'm going to make the assumption that Deb's on top of this. I hate bugging her, keep going back and asking and asking and asking. I think she knows where that has to go. Let's see. The applicant proposes to provide a 1-car or 2-car garage for each dwelling unit and a driveway in front of each unit's garage at least 20 feet in width and 20 feet in length between the garage and the paved access drive. Paved access drive.
I don't think he's got 20 feet for a driveway.
I was pretty sure he did.
It's either 18 or 20.
Yeah, I thought it was 20.
Where'd it go? There are my site plans.
Thought he had way more. I honestly thought he had more information on that.
It's 22 feet wide. Let's say.
Right.
Zoom in.
Pretty sure it was.
And
Might have been 18.
20, looks like 20 feet is typical. It's 22 feet wide and 20 feet long.
Does he have a dimension? Does he have a dimension arrow, like a leader arrow on the
Yeah.
driveway length?
It's on the driveway on C1, the site plan layout. And it shows
C1.
the front yard to the berm, basically to the street, Cape Cod berm is 20 feet typical, and he's got the width is 22 feet.
I got 22 feet wide. Damn it. I got 22 feet wide and I got 20 foot. It looks like it's going to the back. It looks like it's going to the face of the curb, but I can't tell.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So we've got 2-car garage and a driveway.
Based on what he's proposing, it looks to be at least 20 feet to the back of the curb. You know, so and it's still a 20 foot drive as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, let's just call it 20 feet
Take it.
and a 2-car garage.
All right. The applicant proposes to provide a 2-car garage for each dwelling unit. A 2-car garage under. You want to get specific on this?
Yeah.
No? All right. Provide a 2-car garage for each dwelling unit and a driveway in front of each unit's garage at least 22 feet in width and 20 feet in length between the garage and the main access drive.
Perfect.
10, on number 11, the board determined that the development subject to the conditions provided herein would not endanger public health or safety or the environment.
Keep it.
Leave it for now, we're gonna have to vote on that.
We're gonna have to make that determination.
Yeah, we're gonna have to vote on that. So I'd say leave it in there for now. This is a placeholder. Number 12, as proposed, 18 dwelling units. Obviously, that's not gonna work. As proposed, one dwelling unit, the affordable unit, which is at least 25% of the 4 approved units, shall be reserved for sale to families earning no more than 80% of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development adjusted median household in income for Rockland, which is located in the Boston metro area. As specified in the project, the affordable units shall be sold at an initial sale price that would enable buyers with a maximum household income of 70% of the HUD. Okay, that stays in there, I think. That, other than the number of units and stuff, I think that stays. The board finds that the conditions imposed in the following section are necessary in order to properly address local concerns. The board finds that such conditions will not render the project uneconomic. All right, to the extent that such conditions do render the project uneconomic, the board finds that the local concerns in imposing the same outweigh the potential benefits of the affordable units that have been proposed. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll leave that. Board for number 14, the board finds that the waivers that have been granted will cause adverse. Finds that the waivers that have been granted will cause adverse impacts to the local concerns. However, the board finds that the local concerns that have been affected thereby do not outweigh the town's need for affordable housing. Therefore, the board finds that this decision is consistent with local needs.
We'll have to discuss that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to discuss that. I don't like that at all.
I think that's a finding we need to find.
Yeah. All right, so that's so just make a note, just Deb, make a note that that's something, the last one and this one are both findings that we have to make.
What was the
Finance.
previous one?
Previous
Number
now,
13.
13, the board finds.
13 and
that-
14.
Yep. Yep, 13, 14, and 15, we're now on. Financing for the development is to be
15
provided
does
by.
not apply.
I didn't think so. Regulatory agreement governing development is to be executed between the applicant and Mass Housing. I don't think that has anything to do with us. Tim says it's out, so we're out. Decision pursuant to the construction of 4 on the property with associated infrastructure improvements subject to the following conditions. Okay, here we go. Development shall be constructed in substantial conformance with the following plans of record. Obviously, we need that list of plans. So we're going to do that. Now we got number 2, not less than 30 days prior to either the anticipated date of commencement of construction or the submission of application for building permits, whichever is earlier, final site plan submission date. The applicant shall deliver to the board and the board's consulting engineer okay, this is, I think we're good here. Final site plans, not limited to dust control, if no written response or comments have been given to the applicant by the board concerning the final site plans, 38. I think that stays in 100% as is. Number 3, the dwelling units in the development shall have either 3 or 4 bedrooms. Tim, do you remember what these were? Were these 2 bedrooms?
There's 3 bedrooms up, and there's some room in the basement that could potentially be a bedroom.
That's the dungeon, right?
So he's got, there's 3 bedrooms up, and then he's calling it a rec room with a full bath down there. So, but he's given them to us as 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom plans.
All right, well, and we're going to call it the dwelling units in the development shall have 3 bedrooms.
No more than three.
No more, hold on, no more than.
Three.
Let's have four. So that next the next sentence is out. The units shall be constructed substantially in accordance with the square footage and architectural style shown in the no additional habitable space not indicated. Okay, that's fine. So basically, it looks like, what is this? And no habitable space, not anything as a bedroom shall be converted into a bedroom by the applicant or by future owners of the. Take out the second sentence and make sure it's 3 bedrooms.
What I would,
There's a later provision that says, and no converting your garages to living space.
Where did you get that one? I like that.
It's coming up.
Okay, all right.
So it's like no converting other spaces to bedrooms. These are 3-bedroom units. And,
No wing.
mhm.
No, they can sit on the deck. All right, so this is good. Leave it at 3. Mr. Tanzi, you had,
well, I was gonna say,
speak up so everybody can hear you.
yeah, for a Title V definition of a bedroom.
Okay. The dwelling units in the development shall have 3 bedrooms.
Not more than three.
Well, ultimately, it's going to be closets and egress windows, that would govern whether something could be used as a bedroom.
Greg was saying, tie in the Title V definition of a bedroom. So I think we can accommodate that.
Right, because the Title V definition of a bedroom has all that, the minimum square foot, ceiling, window, heat, room dedicated for privacy, all that stuff.
Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes,
you were raising your hand.
no more than 3 bedrooms.
Shall have, okay, so dwelling units in development shall have no more than 3 bedrooms as defined in, what is it?
No,
It's covered in this clause. No habitable space not indicated as a bedroom shall be converted to a bedroom.
I thought that too. I'm just trying to get, I'm trying to get everybody in, so.
I like Greg going for the smack tab.
Basically, that's what's happening. All right, so we're good
Well,
there.
If the inclusion of the Title V language gives greater definition to what is or isn't a bedroom, why not throw it in?
Oh, it absolutely does, because Title V just, that puts the period on the end of the sentence. It takes any form of question mark out of play. So if we can incorporate, if you can incorporate that as per Title V definition, in this number 3 here, when it comes to the bedrooms, that would be good. Number 4, a one car to 2-car garage shall be provided for. We just said that. Number 4, we've already said that. We don't need to say it again.
Break it.
5, 2, and 6.
What did you say? Number 5, we're done too? Or did I go backwards? No, I didn't.
Keep going
All right.
backwards.
So we should leave this one in because the other one is in the description. It says
Oh,
they
sorry.
proposed this. So
I was
leave
gonna
this
say,
in.
we already talked about the garages. Why do we have to talk about it? But you're right. You're 100% right.
Yep, so leave it in.
Okay,
With those
25% of the setting dwelling shall be restricted in perpetuity means a deed rider. I think we can leave all that in there.
There's some,
Affordable. Say again, somebody said something?
yeah, I was gonna say, there's some language in there that I'm not sure completely applies in regards to the handicap accessible unit. That last paragraph. There is good stuff in there and answers some of the board's questions about, letting the board determine which ones are affordable and that sort of thing.
Okay. All right, so we can, there's a couple things that can come out of there. That's good. Affordable units shall be the primary residence for the owner and shall not be rented without the prior permission of the Citizens Housing and Planning Association as the monitoring agent, which shall ensure that such rental is to a person eligible by household income We could probably leave that in there, but I
Yeah,
mean,
we need to leave that in, I think.
But is it Chapa?
yeah.
Okay,
Shall be the primary residence of the owner and shall not be rented.
It just means if you own one of the affordable units, you can't leave and rent it. You can't become an it can't become an investment property for the owner.
Without the prior permission of the Citizens Housing and Planning Association.
Right, it has to become an affordable rental unit
Okay.
if somebody buys it as a primary residence.
Can we do away with this and just say affordable units shall be the primary residence of the owner and shall not be rented, period?
Period.
The regulatory agreements are going to basically govern all of that.
Do you think we should pull that out of the, pull
I
that?
don't think we're going to need CHAPA. I'm not sure that they would be the monitoring agent for the affordability. I don't know who that's going to be yet. But they'll have to propose somebody that's qualified to serve as a monitoring agent to manage the affordability.
Affordable units shall be a primary resident owner and shall not be rented without the prior permission of
the monitoring agent.
the monitoring agent to be, period, monitoring agent shall be chosen and the name shall be given to the zoning board, something along those lines. Does that make sense?
Well, if the intent of that paragraph is just to prevent the purchasers from renting, as you said, Mr. Chairman, why can't we just stop it after shall not be rented, period?
Because
I assume there are other places, I'm assuming there are other places where we can reference who the designated monitoring agent is going to be without including it in this paragraph.
no, I agree. But
Rob, I think this is very problematic. I think it can only be rented in accordance with the, the regulatory agreement. And I think beyond that, we're getting into an area that the subsidizing agency controls, and we're acting beyond the scope of our authority.
Okay. So any suggestion on how we modify this paragraph to work for this situation?
Affordable units should be the primary residence, shall not be rented without prior permission of the monitoring agent. And if they're rented, they have to be a person eligible to qualify as to rent an affordable unit.
Done.
I mean, it's all going to be done by the monitoring agent and in accordance with the regulatory agreement and or deed restriction.
Okay.
Did you say
Right.
as defined by law or defined by state law or? And leave it at
I don't
that
know
vague?
if it kind of feels vague, but a monitoring agent is going to have to be chosen.
So what's going to happen is this unit, when it's completed, will be a part of a lottery system. And people will apply to purchase this unit. And this monitoring agent will also be the marketing agent, and they'll market and sell the unit.
In perpetuity, right? That-
Correct. It'll contain a deed restriction, making that unit affordable in perpetuity.
Okay.
So when they go to sell it, they have to go through this process again.
Correct.
And number 7, to the extent permitted by law, preference for the sale of a maximum representative shall be given to persons. We already know that, so we're good.
Okay, so just let me explain something. So the law is more developed now on these local preferences. And in order for the local preference to be permissible, the town has to take some affirmative steps to demonstrate that there's a need for local, there's a local preference to DHCD. And so it's not as black and white as this, and I'll reword this section to make it permissible. But the town has a role in the event that we want there to be a local preference. Most developers don't care because ultimately the burden falls on the town.
Okay. So number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 9. Yeah, so 6 through 9 Can you condense all that and make that kind of work?
I'll, as soon as Deb gets me a Word version of whatever this decision's gonna be, I will edit it.
Okay,
Those are all the lottery sections.
yeah, that's all.
I'll update them and put the most up-to-date language in there.
All right. And just out of curiosity, we're positive we don't have a Word document on this. There's gotta be something.
Candy might
I
have,
can ask again.
If not, can we do an optical scan on it? And
Not on this. This is a photocopy of a paper document. If this was a PDF that was created from Word, you could probably do an OCR and it would come in reasonable. But because this is a scan of a paper document, I don't think it's gonna work very well.
Didn't,
It didn't?
no.
Yeah, see, I knew I kind of knew she already tried it, so I knew that was gonna work. It's only going back 2006. There's gotta be something on some computer that some zoning board secretary was able to use to create this.
Well, I think Candy typed it up.
I'm not blaming anybody. All I'm saying is
No,
it's
what
gotta
I'm
be
saying is-
someplace.
Candy wouldn't have typed it up on an ink and ribbon typewriter. It'd be a file on an electronic.
I
version of it
agree.
somewhere.
I agree. The problem is that where is it stored? Nobody knows. A hunt for this Word document should be commenced. All right, so now, yeah, it was 6 through 9. Attorney Galvin's gonna
Question.
take care of. Yes.
On number 4, is that staying or going?
Number
We striking
4.
number 4?
1 car, 2 cars shall be provided for each dwelling unit as well as a paved driveway at least
It's
20
staying,
feet.
just tweaking it?
yep,
Staying except at least 22 feet in width and 20 feet in length.
and just a
within-
two-car garage.
Yeah, and a 2-car garage shall be provided for each dwelling unit as well as a paved driveway at least 22 feet in width and 20 feet in length, period. Back to 10. Right here, in the event that the development is constructed in phases, each phase shall include a pro rata share of the affordable units. I think this can go. This is not gonna be in phases. He's gonna build one, well, actually, no, wait a second. It depends on if you count each individual unit as a phase.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna
Agreed.
build all 4 units at the same time. He's got a ton of site grading that he's gotta deal with. He's got the driveway that he's gotta put in, and then he's gotta deal with all, site grading, utilities, paving. Then it start dealing with the foundations, once you get a binder course for the main access drive down. So do we want to look at this in phases? Each
Well, we
phase,
have to decide. Attorney Galvin recommended that we either make it so that no certificate of occupancy until it's all ready for occupancy.
oh, yeah,
And if that's the case, then it's not relevant. If we are going to allow a rolling occupancy, then this is the paragraph in which we have to say, no more than, 2 market rates are built before the affordable one is built, something like that. So-
And I thought when we had our original discussion, we were pretty much in agreement that no occupancy permit would be issued until everything was done.
You
Yeah,
are,
on the other project, on the other project, it was more applicable. This is a for sale project, and then the other one is a rental project. So this is a circumstance where Mr. Petrosi, who's the principal in this company, might want to sell unit 1 if he's completed it. And as long as the water, sewer, and fire department can access the property, we might then allow him to post some security to complete the rest of the projects and occupy and sell the first unit. So with respect to the affordable units, we would probably require him to complete no less than 2 units before he completed the third. So he didn't sell all the market rate units before he completed the affordable unit.
can we say that we want the affordable unit built first?
No, and I think that would be problematic for you. he would probably appeal that because he's gonna not, he's gonna want to, you're gonna want to give him some incentive to build the affordable unit. And that means by allowing him to make some money on the market rate units, which he's basically gonna then have to build the affordable with. And, the conventional wisdom is that you don't make any money at all, and sometimes you lose a little money on the affordable units because they have to have amenities that are similar from the outside to the rest of the units. The fit and finish on the outside is to be the same. Now, the inside, you don't have to put hardwood floors throughout, but you have to put something that's neat in, and you're not going to put in Viking appliances where you can put in a standard
Whirlpool,
Kenmore or something.
Frigidaire. In the event that the development is constructed in phase, Attorney Galvin, can you reword that to work for this?
Yep.
Okay.
As soon as I get that word one, I'll do it.
All right. All right. So again, through 10, that's Attorney Galvin. Prior to the issuance of building permit, the applicant shall submit for town council's approval all homeowners association documents that are necessary. Okay. The maintenance
As
schedule.
is, I think.
Yeah, as is. I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the
That's
only thing that's a little different about this one is we'll have a condominium association, not a homeowners association.
Yes.
Yep. All right, as a limited dividend organization, which this is not. Right?
It will
It's
be.
not, the applicant agrees that the profit from the development which shall be payable to the applicants shall not exceed 20%. This is not him. This is a force.
This is all standard language when it comes to a for sale project. That's
Okay.
If they earn more than 20%, then the town of Rockland gets the excess profit.
Okay.
Leave it.
All right, and that works for me. The applicant shall annually provide the board with a certified cost and income statement. The applicant shall also provide the board with copies of any and all documents and statements provided by the applicant to CHAPA or such other entity as may serve as the monitoring agent. Okay, I like that. In addition to any monitoring cost for revenue to the board shall be permitted to independently enforce the applicant's limited dividend order. Stays as is.
What is this annual? I was confused about annually providing us with a cost and income statement. I wasn't sure what this was.
I thought I look at that as if this was going to take several years to complete, because again, this other one was, oh, crying out loud. What was the date of this? Because I know they can.
Gotcha. This is for the
06.
development cost.
This was multi-units, going to take multiple years to sell. This project will be built probably, all at one time, likelihood.
Yeah, and it's not gonna, they're not gonna, if this takes longer than a year and a half, once they get all the approvals from sewer and water, if this takes longer than a year and a half, he's milking the time.
We could just take out the annually, and then he just provides the board with a certified cost and income statement.
Nice.
So at the conclusion of the project, he'll have to submit to the state a audit prepared by a certified financial or accountant. And the town and the board will get a copy of that to show how much money they made and whether there's any local share from that. And, we can always have it reviewed by somebody on our own, and we've done that in other locations. But I think just leave it and I'll mark it up and make it state of the art.
All right, 13 is good. 13 is a Galvin, the regulatory agreement, the riders and monitoring services agreement, as well as all homeowners association documents which are required in order to properly restrict, maintain, and manage the development shall be submitted to the town council for the as is, except condominium association. That work?
Yep.
Yes. Next, CHAPA shall be entitled to a reasonable fee as may be designated in the monitoring services agreement. Yes, but again, we don't know if this CHAPA is going to be the monitoring.
So we'll just call it the monitoring agent.
Perfect.
Thank you.
The applicant shall maintain status as a limited dividend entity in the event that profit is deemed by the monitoring agent by the board's that I think is 100% stays as is. Again, that's just the the town, the town's portion if he makes more money than he should be. During construction, the area shall conform to all local, state, and federal laws regarding noise, vibration, dust, and blocking of town roads. The applicant shall at all times use as reasonable means to minimize inconvenience to residents in the general area. Construction activities shall be limited to weekdays between the hours of 7 and 6, and Saturdays between the hours of 8 and 5. No construction activities shall occur on Saturdays or state, federal, legal holidays. Construction activities include deliveries, engine idling, warming, and actual construction operations. I know we already started talking about this. Do those hours conform to what we already said?
I thought
No.
we did Saturdays 8 to 3, but
8 to 3.
non-invasive interior could go later,
Yeah,
like painting and stuff like that.
painting and wallpapering if people still do
Yeah,
wall.
quiet stuff. No sledgehammering or whatever.
Yeah, nothing loud.
No outside activity after 3 o'clock on Saturday.
We can put that in there.
And didn't we put till 9 at night too?
Yeah.
And that was for anything interior though, right? That was for any, that was for
Quiet interior, yeah.
Not noxious.
We have a slightly amended list of holidays too.
Right.
Does what they're saying here occur on Sundays or state or federal legal holidays? Does that cover what we were talking about? I think that covers it.
That's a little, so this is a little more restrictive.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Then let's keep it. And I say keep it. If it's more restrictive, then keep it.
I don't know.
Let's see, okay. Adequate provisions shall be made by the applicant to control and minimize dust. That's a given, and to prevent the dust, to prevent the deposit of materials on wet. A temporary construction pad is to be installed. We've already talked about this, Gregor. What were the sizes?
They were 20 gutter, and
No, temporary construction.
it's 50 feet long, I think.
Deb, do you have the notes that we had before? Because that Greg last time, oh no, no, you weren't here. You didn't talk about this.
I talked about one.
You talked about one.
We talked about this construction pad.
Yeah, we did.
Previous meeting with Greg. Greg sized it up for us.
Okay. It was something like 50 by 18, I think. It was, I would say 20 by 15 because the width of the road is going to be 20. So, and you know what's going to happen. There's going to be trucks sitting there waiting to get in, and you know some guy in a pickup is going to want to go around them. So just keep it simple. Just easy numbers. Temporary construction pad is to be installed at the entrance of the development, 50 feet long by 20 feet wide. During
Did you
construction.
get a copy of this from Deb? 320 Carpet Street,
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
the decision.
It's in the other version of the draft. The construction pad.
Okay, it's as long as we have it, as long as we have it someplace that can be pulled and put in there.
Yeah,
All right, as long as it can be coordinated, because I know we talked about it already. During construction, if deemed necessary by the highway superintendent, Concord Street is to be machine swept by the applicant at no cost for a distance of 500 feet in both directions. Got no problem with that, just change to Concord Street. Yes?
That's
Hearing
it.
nothing, move on. 19, the applicant has stated its intent that the roadways and related facilities to be designated to meet the requirements. We don't care about any of that. Is not to be constructed is obligated in town through town union said. Number 19 has to do with roadway acceptance, has nothing to do with this project.
This will just be a simple statement that the roadway will be private in perpetuity.
There is no roadway.
That driveway will be in private in perpetuity.
Okay. So that'll take care of that. The applicant has agreed that all roadway, again, has nothing to do with it. That's just the width. We've already established the length and the width. But that's not but that wasn't a condition, that was under findings. The applicant has agreed that the main access drive currently shown on the plans dated whatever the date was, and whatever the reason, as 20 feet shall be shown on the final site plans as 22 feet in width, back of curb to back of curb. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So back of curb to back of curb. And then the next one does not work. The next one is not applicable. The rest of that's the only part that's applicable.
What about maintenance? Plowing?
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. The applicant shall be responsible until all units are sold, and thereafter the homeowners association for the installation, operation, and maintenance of all aspects of any common facilities and common, wait a second. The
That's
applicant,
Condo association.
Just have to change that to condo association.
and thereafter the condo association, the condominium association for the installation, operation, and maintenance of all aspects of any common facilities and common areas.
That's the road, that's the driveway, the landscaping, the snow removal.
Everything.
Okay, all right, I see it, okay, for some reason, I was blanking on that, because I see it now. For the installation, operation, and maintenance of all aspects of any common facilities and common areas. In the event that a management company is engaged for those purposes, when a copy of the initial management agreement should stay in as, other
As
than,
is.
okay, other than homeowners,
Condo.
change that to condominium, and we're good. The applicant shall conform to all applicable requirements, if any, of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Correct. Keep it.
Correct.
Rob,
Yeah.
you go back one again?
Which
That
one?
The one about the monitoring.
The initial management contract shall provide the monitoring agent with the copies of super and subsequent management contracts.
Should we put in there that if they hire a monitoring company, that the board be notified of the name and address of the person doing the work?
That should go way up. That should go way up in when we first started talking about them.
Well, if they're gonna hire someone to, after the condo association owns it,
Well, it says the initial management contract, that would have all that contact information on it, the contract.
In the homeowners still operation maintenance laws or common facilities gone in the event.
I
that the
can't
management-
imagine the town requires condo associations to tell the town who their management companies are.
Who their landscaping is, who their landscaper is and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I agree. I agree there, but in the end, the applicant shall provide the board with a copy of the initial management contract.
But this is until all units are sold, the first line. This is during construction.
Right,
This
I
is-
agree.
This isn't after construction. This is so that we make sure that things are getting done that need to be.
That initially, once this whole thing starts, that initially it's being done the way it's being done properly, and we know who's involved. I think that's what it is.
And reading between the lines, I think this is really more geared towards Maple Woods, because it was a big development.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of people living there while construction activities were being undertaken. And this would just keep everything under control, at least for.
That number of units.
Yeah, during construction.
During construction, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he's
Still
not
gonna
gonna have a
apply
management company.
Project, but not as much as it would Maple Shade, because he might have units built and sold, inhabited, well, before he's complete.
Mm,
I mean, I don't really like the notion of that, because it's such a
Small site.
small site and it's way overbuilt, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
So should we keep that in there based on what you think?
Yeah, it can't hurt.
It can't hurt, because we know that in the end, there's probably going to be, more than likely, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 units sold and the other ones are still living under construction. Mr. Tanzi thinks this should stay in as is, just as a catch-all.
I agree.
I agree with him too. The applicant shall conform to all applicable requirements, if any of the ADA. I kind of think that should stay. The applicant shall deliver to the board a check in the amount, in an amount to be determined by the board, to be issued for the board, to retain outside experts to perform. Who typed this? To perform technical reviews during the construction of the development. The board may retain such outside consultants as are customarily retained by the town of Rockland in reviewing the construction of residential subdivisions of a size and nature similar to the development. Residential projects of a size and nature similar to the development. Said funds shall be dispersed at any subsequent, yep, development that insufficient funds, yep. Other than residential subdivisions, constructions of projects of a size and nature similar to the development. I think everything else works. The internal roadways, there are none.
Question,
Yep.
sorry,
No, sorry.
what am I thinking? So the release of the funds,
Where are we? Insufficient funds, additional funds, may be a balance to the account issued by the board.
Okay. define, so any unspent funds shall be returned to the applicant at the completion of the development. What is the completion? Is that like when the occupancy permits were issued, or what is completion?
When a final site as-built plan has been submitted to the building department and reviewed by our peer engineer.
Okay, you want that in there?
Yeah, something along those lines. Make it sound better. But I mean, it's along those lines. It's got to be final site as-built plan has been submitted and approved by both the building inspector and our review engineer. Something along those lines.
Okay, got it.
And present it to the board.
No. Doesn't Tom
They
have
have
that?
I'd like to see what Pat and Tom say.
Yeah, but I don't think they have to.
Are you saying submission of the plans before final construction,
No, as-built.
As built,
after it's built?
Yep.
Yes.
as built, yes.
Yeah, definition of as-built. You spell it AS-built. So it's a plan showing the site as it was built.
Okay, good.
So, let's see, the internal roadway shall be defined, designed and constructed. That has nothing to do with it. Waiver granted, the board's consulting and inspecting. So no, we don't care about that. Okay, now hold on. The main access drive shall be designed and constructed so as to satisfy the current quality standards for access driveways that would be subject to approval under the town of Rockland. See, that doesn't work that way. And Tom doesn't have the building department. I don't think zoning has a definition of access drive and width. So the internal road, the main drive.
There's a,
Rob,
Yep.
when I was on the planning board, we used to call them midways.
Midway what?
Midways. Access drives.
Never heard that term. Not that it means anything, but I've never heard that term before.
Up on Reservoir Park Drive, all those condo buildings that are in there,
Yeah,
industrial buildings,
yeah.
it's a midway. We called it a midway.
We have a definition.
They couldn't figure out what to call it. Some are calling it an access drive, this, that, well, it's a street, but it's not a street.
Does the planning board have a definition? Does the planning board have a definition and design criteria?
It doesn't have one. These are like internal site access driveways.
Right.
Right.
So I'm trying to think if we had how to do this. The main access drive shall be designed and constructed so as to satisfy the current
No,
quality.
it's just going to be built in accordance with the approved plan. It's not a
Okay.
subdivision. It's not a roadway, so it's just in accordance with the approved plan.
Okay,
If you go to the part that says the board's consulting engineer
Yep.
shall oversee, like, it just simply says, we can simply say that the engineer shall oversee and inspect the installation of all of these things
main access
in
drive.
accordance to the submitted plans.
Yep.
Mhm.
Utility installation, stormwater systems, as well as erosion and sediment control during construction. Sewer installation shall be in accordance with the sewer commission rules and regulations inspected by that keeps going. Water main installation shall be in accordance with the Admin Joint Waterworks. Inspected by the designee prior to commencement of the construction. It shall schedule a pre-construction meeting with the board's consulting engineer, sewer commission. So other than the roadway talk, everything else should stay in there.
Should we put highway in there too? And
Highway, yes.
police department?
Police department, yes.
Well,
Fire department, yes.
I'm not sure that this is the I don't think this is like the appropriate place for, if everybody who has something to go. This is simply saying the town's engineer, and, in terms of infrastructure,
Yeah.
this is just specifically referring to infrastructure.
I
We have
agree.
other places where the fire department has looked at the plans and done things. The police department is overseeing traffic, but, this is infrastructure. The engineer, is looking at the roads, utilities, stormwater, erosion, sewer is sewer, and water is water.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
very
agree.
straightforward.
I agree. There's going to be another place to put in everything. The highway department, the police department, the fire department. There's going to be another place for that because they had just on the last one they had a whole a whole line item for it. So
Yes, and they've approved the plans.
dang it. For purposes of the recording requirements of the subdivision control of the final site plan shall be
Does not
submitted.
apply.
Yeah, it does not apply. Board shall require the applicant to provide security completion of the, that does not apply. That does not apply. As security for completion of the infrastructure shown on the final site plans, including but not limited to the main access drive, drainage facilities, and utilities, collectively the infrastructure. The release of occupancy permits for dwelling units in the development shall be subject to the following restrictions. No occupancy permit for a building shall be issued by the building inspector until 1, the base and binder course for the entire roadway servicing the building shown on the final site plans has been installed. So 1, the base and binder course for the entire main access drive as shown on the final site plans has been installed. Except that the occupancy permits for the last building to be constructed shall not be issued unless and until the final top coat of paving has been completed. I don't mind that. Until the binder course, until the final course is done. All other infrastructure as shown on the final site plans as approved by the board's consulting engineer has been constructed or installed so as to adequately serve said building and the buildings. And the board's consulting engineer has notified the board and the building inspector in writing that the required paving and infrastructure to serve said buildings has been completed. Everybody agree? That works?
Yep.
Yes, cool. No occupancy permits shall be issued until the applicant complies with any other requirements or specifications that are reasonably required by the board's consulting engineer after review of the final construction plans. I like that. All landscaping associated with a section of roadway, all landscaping as shown on the landscaping plan that is to be included in the final site plans shall be completed concurrently with that section shall be completed concurrently.
It probably ought to apply to that particular, if we're going to allow them to build individual houses and sell off individual houses,
Yep.
then the landscaping for that house should be included.
All landscaping associated with a specific dwelling unit
Mhm.
along the adjacent section of the main access drive as shown on the landscaping plan that is to be included in the final site plans shall be completed concurrently with that unit, basically, because the roadway is already going to be in there. Unless weather conditions are unfavorable at such time, in which case the landscaping is to be completed within the next growing season. Deb, you got that? You're relatively clear there?
Yep.
Rocking?
Yeah.
All inspections by the board's consulting engineer during the construction phase shall be at the applicant's expense. That stays. Nothing in this decision shall constitute an approval for a connection to the town of Rockland municipal sewer. Here we go. The applicant shall be responsible for retaining such approvals from the Rockland Sewer Commission. The applicant shall pay any and all fees for such sewer connection as may be determined by the Sewer Commission and shall conform to all of the commission's regulations and inspection requirements. Any questions?
Does it all?
None. Nothing in this decision shall constitute an approval for a connection to the Abington Rockland Joint Waterworks, ARJWW, Public Water Service. The applicant shall be responsible for obtaining such approvals from the ARJWW. The applicant shall pay any and all fees for such water service connection as may be determined by the ARJWW and shall conform to all ARJWW regulations and inspection requirements, including any requirements for water conservation devices or for
Contributions.
Thank you to community water conservation programs unless specifically allowed by the ARJWW. No connection shall be made to the public water system for lawn or landscaping, sprinkler, irrigation purposes. Again, any questions?
Nope.
None. Construction shall not commence until the applicant provides the board with a copy of any affirmative order of conditions. Has nothing to do with us. So 29 is out. Stormwater management system shall ensure that there shall be no increase in flow above current levels of stormwater from the property onto abutting properties or public ways, and that the stormwater management system is designed in conformance with the DEP stormwater management policy. Stormwater management volume 1, stormwater, blah, 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 blah. Does that all work? Yes, that all works.
Yep.
Number 31, all roadways and parking areas.
Rob, this developer is not going to be allowed to water his lawn from the Rockland water supply.
I know, we already said that.
I know, but someone made a comment, oh, we're going to let this guy water his lawn.
Who said
But we
that?
can't. It came up on a pop-up.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's taken care of the chat.
yeah, there's no.
There's no comments.
Okay, well, all I know is that there's supposed to be no irrigation systems in the town of Rockland unless they're on a private well.
Right.
Pretty simple.
That's in there.
All roadways and parking areas shall be curbed or otherwise designed and constructed to prevent stormwater drainage from leaving the site. All stormwater. The main access drive and driveways shall be curbed or otherwise designed.
Yep.
All right, everybody's good with that? Let's see, proposed grading for construction. Proposed grading for construction and construction development shall direct stormwater runoff toward the proposed. All proposed grading. I don't think we really.
I don't think it applies.
Yeah,
This
I
is
mean, it
very,
really doesn't
very
apply.
specific. This is very specific to that project.
Yeah, this number 32 doesn't apply. The applicant's registered professional engineer has prepared guidelines for the so this is an O&E plan. Did we get a copy of an O&E plan or do we have a copy in front of us? Anybody?
I don't believe so.
All right.
We're gonna require them to have one, though.
Okay, so
We'll maintain it.
All right, so for number 33, when it comes to an O and E, can you doctor up something that'll work for this?
Yes, I'll create a condition for this one.
All right. 34, the final site plan shall include internal, doesn't work. It's not applicable. Appropriate signage shall be shown on final site plans.
We had.
By the way, Mr. Rosa, they do have a stormwater management plan.
right,
It was
cool.
submitted on December 6th, 2021. And it looks like it includes an operation and maintenance plan.
Perfect. All right, so the applicant, so going back to number 33, the applicant's registered professional engineer has prepared guidelines for the operation and maintenance of the stormwater management system in the event of the management company is engaged, after regulation. So that stays as it is. The last sentence, though, easements shall be in a form approved by town council. There are no easements.
There is a sewer easement on this property, though.
Easements shall be in a form approved by town council, but it's an existing easement.
It may be reworked if they come in from a different angle within the layout of the street.
Huh?
There may be another easement required.
How? The supposedly dog.
I don't know
house-
whether they're doing, look, if they're gonna put in a new sewer connection, it may be a requirement of the sewer commission that they have access to the sewer line in the event of emergency maintenance. So, I mean, I'll have to talk to the sewer department about that, but if there is, then it'll be in a form acceptable to me and the sewer commissioners.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta leave that.
Yeah, I would want to see how they're doing that then. And again, if they're changing this, because again, they haven't been in front of sewer yet, so we don't know if sewer is gonna approve what they're talking about. And we already know that sewer doesn't like doghouse manholes, which is what they want to do. So the only other way to connect into the sewer is to do their own dedicated line. Or they can try and tie into that easement but they haven't talked about it. So I hear where you're coming from. Easement shall be in the form approved by town council. 33 looks like on the face of it should stay as is. Does anybody have any discussion on that? It looks to me like it sounds to me.
Rob, on sheets C3,
Mhm.
they're showing a new sewer line that runs behind the buildings closest to the Brigham property.
Yep.
And then it runs, when it gets past the building one, it goes diagonally over towards, the boundary line with the other Concord Street property.
Yep.
And it's definitely running in a different angle within the layout of the street. So there'll be more easements.
Where? No, there won't. The town's not going to take jurisdiction over the sewer line for the houses.
We're gonna want the ability in the event of an emergency to be able to access this area where the sewer line is for emergency maintenance. I mean, by the way, we bill them if we have to do it, but
No, you're right. I just don't want it to look like the town's taking responsibility for that sewer line. That needs to.
we put it in all of our subdivision approvals that we have the right but not the obligation to do anything. But we always get an emergency access easement over the roadways and over the drainage and water lines so that we can fix something in the event that there's a break and there's a public health safety threat and people aren't paying attention. We always do that.
Is it going to have to be a documented easement per plan?
It'll be shown on the final plan and it'll be acceptable, in a form acceptable to me.
As long as it's recorded with the registry of deeds.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be an easement, it has to be someplace that can be researched. You know what I mean? And it's
It'll be right on the unit deeds. It'll be on the master deed creating the condominium. It'll be in all of the locations that I'm used to seeing it.
As long as you're happy with it, then I think the board's going to be happy with it too.
Okay.
Rock and roll. Next one, final site plan shall include internal, that has nothing to do with us, appropriate signage. We were talking signs, it was no parking. We had no parking at,
We have a, in these conditions that Deb wrote up,
Yep.
It says no parking between signs shall be put up at the lot lines of the property along Concord Street.
okay, so we got that.
So if you look at the plan C1, that's the site layout plan. They have no parking at any time signs in front of where the stormwater system facility is, then in front of building 1. Then they have a no parking fire lane sign further up.
This is pre-construction signs that we wanted, temporary signs.
Temporary signs, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. This is appropriate signage. This is for the applicant to install stop signs and stuff like that. This is not the travel access signs for the construction traffic. Appropriate signs shall be shown on final, the applicant shall install. There was a stop sign called for.
Yeah, it's shown on the plan, the stop sign is.
Yep, there was a stop sign. There was a no parking sign up here.
Couple of those.
And then the parking lot area is striped as a emergency vehicle turnaround area, and there's a stop bar line at the street.
And stop sign at the street. But I thought we were talking about no parking sign, no parking along roadway. Basically along the frontage. I thought we were talking about that.
It is it's on the plan.
It is on the plan?
No parking anytime. Signs are up and down. They're all over the.
Oh, well, yeah, that's going up the access drive, but I thought we said that we wanted something about no parking out here.
We wanted them on Concord Street from the lot line to lot line. So the guest overflow wouldn't be parked out on Concord Street.
Yeah, so you can't impose on them a requirement that you don't impose on single family homes. So that'll be void.
I thought that was during construction. Temporary.
Construction, we don't want anybody obstructing the traffic on Concord Street.
Right now, what we're dealing with, this condition is really just the signage that's going to stay permanent. That's what this construction, that's what this is talking about. Warning signs shall be installed on north and south of the proposed intersection, shall be manual and uniform traffic, Yeah, this is all
Specific.
highway department at the applicant's expense. Yeah, as far as I know, based on what I'm seeing here, this is just for the signage that's going to stay. When we're dealing with construction traffic, that's a completely different issue. Appropriate signage shall be shown on the final site plans, which they did. The applicant shall install a stop sign at all permanent signage installation shall be as shown on the final site, shall be as shown on the final site plans. All permanent signage and pavement markings shall be shown and installed as shown on final site plans. I think we can leave it at that.
So Rob, we're not looking at the final site plans. So you're making a reference to the site plans that we already have,
Mhm.
and that they are installed according to those plans.
Appropriate signage shall be shown on the final site plans as shown on initial site plans approved by the board. And I'm trying to figure out how to word this, and I'm at a loss.
So it's because this covers two different things. The signage has to be shown on the final site plans.
Yep.
But what we're looking for is the signage to be what we've approved in the preliminary plan.
Approved signage and pavement markings shall be shown on the final site plans
Mhm.
and installed per, per site details or something like that. I'm just trying to keep it simple because I don't think we need it. It doesn't seem like we need that much more.
I mean, we don't.
Yeah.
Don't need a crosswalk.
Right, there is no crosswalk.
And
Yeah.
all the warning signs coming up to it, we don't need that
No.
on Concord Street.
Yeah, the thing that's confusing here is that they're this the way it's written, they're covering a whole bunch of things that we already have. So
Yeah.
we just simply say the applicant shall install and then we can read off what's there: the stop sign, the stop line, the no parking signs, the fire
Mhm.
lane markings,
Mhm.
and then we're done.
All right.
Do we want those to be like that? I don't know, was it DOT compliant, the signage that we put into Holy Family, same wording?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. What'd you say?
On 35, it looks like the first and second sentences are pretty much all we need.
It's true, but they're saying appropriate signage shall be, they're saying appropriate signage. We've already kind of approved the fact that these are the signs that they want to put on there. So approved instead of appropriate, approved. Tim had it. Tim had the right wording. So I'm not gonna argue with that. The applicant shall install decorative curved stone walls. No.
No.
In consultation. No, thank you.
No historic locus.
Thank you. The applicant shall include a landscape plan, shall include the approved landscape plan in the final site plan. Said landscaping plan shall include landscaping of vegetative buffer on property. Does that all work as is?
No, unfortunately, we have a landscape plan. So we should simply say, the applicant shall install, the landscape, it's substantially in accordance with the plan submitted.
So we should take out not less than 6 bushes and 2 trees.
Yeah, he wasn't saying that. Yeah, not like A through C. I don't think we need that. I mean, it was just if it was there. Tim, can you say that condition one more time? I'm sorry.
The applicant shall install landscaping substantially in
Accordance with the plan submitted.
Plan submitted.
Period.
And then A through C goes away. The location of all utilities, including but not limited to underground electric, telephone, and cable, shall be shown on the final site plans. All transformers and other electric and telecommunication system components shall be included on the final site plans. Why not?
Is there
Let's see.
underground?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's underground, right?
It should, at this point, it should be. I tend to doubt that he's gonna go overhead utility, overhead electrical connections or overhead telephone connections or cable. I would assume that he's gonna go underground on all this.
Including limited to.
A regular site plan will require underground utilities.
There you go. So the location of all utilities, including but not limited to underground electric, telephone, and cable, shall be shown on the final site plans. All transformers and other related. That should stay as is. Gas main and gas service location shall be shown on the final site plan so as to avoid the possibility of underground contamination from oil. That should stay on there. For the purpose of public safety, streetlights shall be installed. We're not doing streetlights out there. We don't have.
It does have some lighting that basically they are street lights. They're a form of like sort of a lamppost lighting.
Yep.
So-
Walkway lighting. All right, so he's not doing it for the purposes of public safety. But site lighting shall be installed
again, in accordance to the plans submitted.
Exactly. So we're gonna leave so that's good. The location of the street, the homeowners association. The homeowners is the condo association shall pay the cost of the service for the street. No, that's not gonna work either. Exactly what Tim said for for just the site lighting shall be installed per the approved plan. Locations of hydrants shall be reviewed and approved by, it's already been approved by the Rockland Fire Department.
I'd leave that in there anyway.
Locations of the hydrants shall be approved, reviewed. Okay, so we'll leave that in there. Street opening permit shall be obtained from the Rockland Highway Department and Rockland Police Department prior to any work or excavation within Concord Street for water and sewer service or other utility installation. Yes?
Yes.
Construction at the intersection of the development entrance exit, construction at the intersection of the development entrance / exit driveway with Concord Street shall be coordinated with the Rockland Police Department, which may require police details to the extent deemed necessary by the police department for public safety. The cost of such details shall be borne by the applicant.
Leave that in.
Yeah, that's left. Excavations in Webster Street shall be backfilled with materials conforming to. Oh, yeah, that's why I read it at Concord Street. Excavations in Concord Street shall be backfilled with materials conforming to Mass Highway Department standard specification. Shall be backfilled with the materials conforming to the Rockland Highway Department's standard specifications. Excavations shall be backfilled and compacted within 6-inch lifts. That's fine. The applicant shall arrange and pay for a compaction test to be performed by a qualified testing laboratory in the trenches in Concord Street. The board's consulting engineer should designate the locations where compaction tests shall be taken. Trench paving shall be placed and maintained in accordance with the Rockland Highway Department specifications. No less than 6 months after resurfacing shall include cold planing to the depth of 1 1/2 inches and placing a 1 1/2 inch wearing course. The resurfacing shall be for the full width of Concord Street.
Yes.
Okay, full width of Concord Street between the intersection. Okay, so it's still the same curb to curb.
Right.
Is that required every single time or only when there's a moratorium?
Every single time.
Really? Okay. Works for me. Well, full width of Concord Street between the intersection, between the lot lines. No, that's not the.
Curb to curb and between the lot lines.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily. They don't have to go lot
Right.
line to lot line. They should only be
We
going
already put something. We already had something in here.
in this one or in the other one. I remember it being in the other one.
Oh,
That
in
was
this-
for a road with a moratorium. We don't have a moratorium on Concord Street as far as I know.
No, number 44. Excavation and concrete shall be backfilled with material conforming to Mass Highway standard specification, highway bridges. Excavation shall be backfilled and compacted in 6-inch lifts
Yep.
to maintain a 95% rate.
Yeah, they just saw,
Maximum-
that's trench construction, that's trench backfill. That's not the width though.
No less than 6 months after the installation of trench pavement. Concord Street shall be resurfaced. The resurface shall include cold planing up to a depth of 1 to 1.5 inches and placing 1 1/2 inches wear course. The resurface shall be for the full width of Concord Street at a distance of not less than 100 feet beyond the outermost boundary line. No, that's not right.
No, there's no way.
Only 4 feet on either side of the most. That's what.
That's what I wanted to hear. So let me back up. Let me start over again. excavations in Concord Street shall be backfilled with materials conforming to, do we leave the Mass Highway Department standards, or do we put in the Rockland Highway Department standards?
Well, the flowable fill is Mass DOT specified.
It's Mass
Yeah.
DOT at this point,
Yeah,
then,
that's what that-
Yes.
then we're gonna keep it as excavations in Webster, in Concord Street shall be backfilled with materials conforming to the Mass DOT standard specifications for highways and bridges, latest edition.
Yes.
Okay, excavation shall be backfilled and compacted in 6-inch lifts to a minimum of 95% of maximum dry density. The applicant shall arrange and pay for compaction tests to be performed by a quality testing laboratory on all trenches in Webster Street. The Board's consulting engineers shall designate the locations where compaction tests will be taken. Trench paving shall be placed and maintained in accordance with the Rockland Highway Department specifications, no less than 6 months after installation of trench pavement. Concord Street shall be resurfaced. The resurfacing shall include cold planing to a depth of 1½ inches and placing a 1½ inch wearing course. The resurfacing shall be, and this is where the 4 feet beyond trench, beyond
The full width is the width of the road, curb to curb.
okay, so the resurfacing shall be for the full width of Concord Street. Well, now it's the 4 feet. Now it's the 4 feet beyond trench.
Yeah. A distance not less than 4 feet beyond the outmost boundary. No, the outmost service trench,
Say it again.
service trench.
No, the whole thing.
How am I?
Webster Street between the for this resurfacing shall be for the full width of Concord Street.
Right. Full width and 4 feet beyond the,
Question,
Yep.
can't we just refer to the highway department rules and regulations regarding that?
You can, but they were very specific on this. So if we can be very specific on if we can be very specific on this, we never have to do it again,
Okay,
you know?
yeah. What's beyond the,
Resurface it, the resurfacing shall be for the full width of Concord Street, commencing 4 feet beyond and terminating 4 feet past any and all roadway trenches.
yes, the two most out of what, yeah,
Something, so that kind of covers it. All right.
Yeah.
As long as that kind of covers it, we should be, for a rough draft, we'll be all set.
and after Concord Street is resurfaced, the double center line and fog lines will be added
Okay.
for the distance of the lot or whatever, the lot line.
Yeah, I would say 10 feet, 10 feet beyond the left and right property lines.
Yeah.
Or at least it blend, you make it blend in with what's old. there.
Yeah. If it's a single or a double in the fog lines.
Yep. The paint is to be of the thermoplastic type with glass beads added for visibility. The work described in this paragraph shall be at the applicant's expense. It
Yeah,
is what it is. I'm assuming that the applicant is going to have a conversation with the highway department superintendent. And if they need to make some modifications, or if they want to make some modifications, I'm sure Mr. Taylor will come to the board and say, look, I talked to the applicant. This is what he wants to do. Do you see this as a major or a minor modification? And then we'll figure out if he's got to come to the board or not. The applicant shall include a landscaping and design plan for the, didn't we already say that? Okay, for the entrance roadways, the design center should provide a sight line sufficient to allow. Doesn't, it doesn't really apply. Well, the sight line does. Because he's gonna need sight line, he's coming out to Concord Street. Concord Street's kind of a fast road.
There's a separate thing that says but they'll maintain it so that it's not obscured.
Okay. All right, this is, you saw a separate condition in there?
Yeah.
All right, so let's strike 46. Yeah, we'll strike 46. Each unit is to have its own trash receptacles, no common dumpsters.
Right.
That I think was correct.
Yes.
If so required by the United States Postmaster for the town of Rockland, the applicant shall be responsible for installing a community mailbox or mailboxes within the development of the location to be determined in consultation with the postmaster. The applicant shall provide a turnout or similar paved area near any such community mailbox to provide a safe means of parking for postal service delivery. Okay. I don't mind that. He didn't talk about common mailboxes.
Leave it in.
So I like that.
They can stick it up in the turnaround.
The roadways within the development shall be named and has nothing to do with us. Defended by no, yeah, has nothing. Well, wait a second. Shall be named and okay. Dwelling units shall be identified by number. To assist in service to the development by public safety and emergency vehicles as approved by the Rockland Police Department. Period.
They have
Yes.
to have that anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
they can't.
Because it's gonna be 320 A, B, C, D.
Really? That's what it's gonna be?
Oh, well, there's 320 and 330 and numbers across the street, so. Can't be
322, 324, 326. But the numbers they won't get an occupancy permit without the numbers being on the building.
All right, so strike the
It can
roadways.
be unit 1, unit 2, unit 3 too. Either way.
So I think the building inspector works with the assessor's department to assign numbers such as that.
Yep, that's how it works. I don't care how it works, but dwelling units shall be identified by number and roadway name to assist in service to the development by public safety and emergency vehicles.
Period.
As vehicles, period. As approved by the Rockland Police Department. No, that has nothing to do with a plan showing it. No, that has nothing to do with it, period. And that takes care of 49. 50, the applicant shall obtain approval from the fire department for the location of the fire hydrants and development before installing them. We already talked about that, but leave it in there. What the hell?
Right. It's ever so slightly different.
Yeah, I know. The island shown in the cul-de-sac, that can go. Maintenance and landscaping, maintenance of landscaping, grassed area, trees, and other plantings in common areas shall be the responsibility. Maintenance of landscaping, grassed areas, trees, subsurface drainage, and the what was it called? The rain garden?
Rain garden, yeah.
And a rain garden. And other plantings in common areas shall be the responsibility of the homeowners association, which shall ensure that such areas are well kept and attractive.
Condo association.
Condo
Got it.
association, so we can make that work. Final architect, oh, Tim, this is yours. Final architectural plans shall, underlined, italic, in red.
I want 3 exclamation marks.
Shall be submitted prior to the issuance of a building permit. Said architectural plans shall show all building elevations and floor plans. Architectural plans shall be stamped by an appropriately licensed professional. If required by applicable building codes, the design of the buildings and units shall be similar in style to those shown in the approved architectural plans, or do you want to, can we leave this as is?
Leave that as is.
Done. If the applicant disagrees with the decisions of the board's consulting engineer or other public officials whose approval is required herein, may request that the board review such decisions, conformance, comp permit. The board shall consider the applicant's request at the scheduled public hearing, leave it in. Yes.
Yes.
54,
I say
in. Just leave it as is.
55, the applicant shall obtain a final loan commitment from Mass Housing. I don't think that has.
Strike it.
Strike it. 55 is out. 56, garages shall be used for parking of vehicles or for storage and shall not be converted to living space. You pointed that out, Tim, that stays. Any signs or landscaping adjacent to the site roadway intersection with Concord Street or within the development shall be designed and maintained so as not to restrict lines of sight to or from the site roadway. Stays.
Yes.
Unless
That's it.
otherwise indicated herein, the board may designate an agent to review and approve matters set forth herein to be approved by the board subsequent to. What? Unless otherwise indicated herein, the board may designate an agent to review and approve matters set forth herein to be approved by the board subsequent to this decision. What did I just read?
Something that you should just leave as is.
Okay, I'm going with my man here. This permit shall not be valid until recorded with the Plymouth, that stays.
Stays.
Any change in the management or ownership of the applicant shall be reported to the board immediately for review by the board. Deems the change in management to ownership the applicant within 20 days that such change is subject enough for purposes of this is a change is significant if it involves a person who either owns a portion. That stays.
Rob, I'll reword this one.
Thank you.
Bob, I'll reword this one, 60.
Thank you, sir. 61, any modifications in this permit shall be subject to the provisions of 760 CMR 3103 for any successor regulations there through the applicant. Are you going to take this one too, Mr. Attorney?
Sure.
Okay. That's a Galvin. This permit shall expire if construction is not commenced within 2 years from the date of the findings and decisions of the board. That stays. That's just
This one has 5 years. I was just curious.
Yeah.
The one we just did had 4 years.
Okay.
So I was just curious if there's any reasoning behind the timelines here.
That's an Attorney Galvin.
Project. That's all.
Yeah, Attorney Galvin, is there any significance between the 4 and 5 years?
Really, I've seen it range anywhere from 3 to whatever. It doesn't really make a difference. This is not a project that's going to take that long to build.
Right.
This is like a 3-year project at the worst.
So put in instead of 5, put in 3.
We just did. The last one we just did had 4, so
Yeah, it had 4, but
you should
Look
make
at
it.
look at the reality is, if you give them 4, they might take 4. So why don't, this one really should be a 3. I mean, people don't want this construction to be, once it gets started, if this is an approval, they want to see it done diligently to completion, and they want the traffic off the street and away from their homes. So if you ultimately decide to give an approval, you're going to want to encourage them to do it quicker. And
This one in particular has the sewer issue, so his actual ability to start and finish is really a little more independent.
So what typically happens with a 40B is when the developer can't get it done for one reason or another, is they ask for an extension, and it's considered a minor modification, and you basically just discuss it in a public meeting. You don't even have a hearing over it, and you have to give the extension. And by the way, if you don't give the extension, the Housing Appeals Committee will for certain give them an extension. So,
well, stick it at 3 and let them come back if it's not done in 3 years.
Good.
All right, so that takes care of that. Finding the time period paragraph shall not include such time required to wait determination of the appeals. Okay, still good. As-built plans shall be submitted and approved prior to the issuance of the final. We've already said this. As-built plans of the roadway, as-built plans shall be submitted and approved prior to the issuance. We've already said this. Do we have to say it again? Anybody?
It's there. It's there.
We've already said it. We don't have
if
to
there's
say it.
anything that's duplicative, what I'll do is when I'm making my final notes, I'll highlight it, and then you guys can make the decision whether you want to restate something.
Yeah, no, 63, I think 63 we can strike at this point, but
It's funny. The only thing I thought was Mylar.
Mylar is used the Mylar plans are used specifically for the registry of deeds for recording purposes. you don't have to do Mylar unless they're being, shall be. Planning board rules that upon approval of the board's consulting, a final set of Mylar as-built plans shall be submitted to the board, assuming that it's getting recorded with the registry of deeds. So far, we haven't made anybody record their final site as-built with the registry of deeds. So I'm still thinking 63 can be stricken as is. The term applicant shall refer to the current applicant and its assignees, that should stay.
These are condos, right?
Yeah, but that's not an as, I mean, while it's an as-built, that's still condo documents. That's a different story.
Right.
We don't get a copy of them,
No.
but that's not, we don't have anything to do with that. Mr. Tanzi is bringing up the fact that these are condos and they're gonna have to have condo documents. The final condo documents, and Tim knows this too. It's a unit plan, an architectural unit plan that gets recorded with the registry.
Yep.
We don't need Mylar copies. The registry needs Mylar copies.
Right.
A final site plan in the state of Massachusetts for condominiums is not required. It's the best way to do it because it's the only way that you can talk about exclusive use areas and stuff like that. You can't really, you can talk about it in a deed, but you can't really see it. So that's why you have a site plan. But again, in the state of Massachusetts for condos, it is not required. So again, as-built plans shall be submitted approved prior to the issuance of upon approval by the board's consulting engineer, a final set of Mylar as-built plans shall be submitted to the board. That was specific to this project because they were going for roadway acceptance. That's why you need Mylar plans, because those plans get recorded with the registry of deeds. So, you got anything else to say, man?
Well, the thing of it is, that if it's gonna have exclusive uses, which it will, I mean.
We haven't talked about it. He hasn't talked about it. We do, you know that, and I know that, but it's not a part of this decision. It's not a part of this decision. I mean, if it makes you feel better, and if everybody agrees on this, we can talk about if exclusive use areas are to be created on site, then a site plan shall be submitted. But even at that, it doesn't really work for what we're doing here.
I was wondering if we should have some legal teeth with that turning spur. We've got it all striped and no parking, but
What's it gonna do? It's gonna be called for in the deeds. It's gonna be called for in the condo association docs. We have nothing. There's nothing that we can do.
Didn't he make an overflow parking area? Wasn't he gonna add an overflow parking area?
emergency hammerhead that we don't want to be an
I know
overflow.
that, but he,
No, there was no overflow parking.
Is a vehicle turnaround area between buildings 3 and 4.
right,
That's for fire trucks.
that's for emergency access only.
Yeah, and it's gonna have 4-inch yellow hatching across it, and it's
Right.
gonna be identified as a fire lane.
Nothing else that we can do other than require signage, require pavement markings, and require a deed restriction and a restriction in the condo documents. There's nothing else that we can do aside from have a permanent, have a permanent dude sitting there making sure that nobody's gonna park. We have nothing. So I still think 63 does not belong at this point. The term applicant, that holds 64 stays. The board hereby grants here we go. But there is no list of waivers here. 65. 65 looks like it's the waivers.
Yep.
All right, so you're gonna have.
Bob, I'll reword that for you to like make that work, and then we can just do the waiver chart like they did for the other one.
Dig it. And we've got a Word document of that.
I don't think we have one yet, but I'm sure Deb's working on it.
All right. All right. Yeah, but if you need to if you need me to make any phone calls or anything like that, let me know. And I can call Mackenzie in a heartbeat and get that.
They
So
did
it's
the waiver list or the developer did it?
I thought they did it.
Yeah.
But
then
either
reach out to
way,
me.
one of the two has it. If you want to
Yeah,
call.
why don't you reach out to Mackenzie and I'll reach out to Lou?
Perfect. Whoever gets it first wins.
Okay,
Okay. The board hereby grants the dimensional waivers. Bob's gonna reword that. You and I are gonna work on getting the waiver list. As this comprehensive permit grants permission to build the development for this without compliance with certain zoning requirements, the development shall maintain, subject to the restrictions imposed by this comp permit, including the requirements of the deed rider for the affordable units for so long as the development is not in compliance with the town's zoning requirements that would otherwise be applicable to the locus and the development, but for the that is the it sounds like it should stay with compliance in certain zones. It sounds like it should stay, but it just sounds like verbal. No. Again, if everybody agrees that it should stay, it seems like it should stay.
It needs a legal tweak, but it's.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it needs a grammatical tweak because it just doesn't. It doesn't roll off the tongue nicely.
You seldom have both, Rob.
I know. I feel like it doesn't come out very nicely. So if somebody can reword that would be nice. I'm having a problem even thinking about how to reword that. So
Well, I think it's essentially saying, as long as you're not going to comply with zoning, you have to comply with all these restrictions. And if they
so you said that in one sentence. This was nothing but a run-on. And come on, let's be realistic here. Grammar. We all learned grammar in 5th grade. 67. Primary and or accessory above ground structures may only be constructed within the building setback. No. Okay. No sheds. No interior fencing. No swing sets. I don't know how much we can do here.
Well, that would be a condo. That would be a condo association thing.
Yeah, that would have to be something that they would have to talk about. But it says primary and or accessory above ground structures may be constructed within the building setback envelopes. Are we going to allow them to have sheds?
Yeah.
That's typically not a minor modification. And this is a tight site already. So asking to put other structures on here, could potentially implicate more public hearings. So,
and I honestly don't think this is going to even come into play until maybe a year or two after the developer is out of this. He's going to be long gone. And somebody out there is going to want to put a shed up behind that.
No, he will have turned this around. I mean, maybe they want to put a shed up for like a snow blower or something like that. Who knows? But.
Right. No, I dig it. But in the end, are we saying that that's okay? Because they really have no place to put them except for.
I mean, I would say that there really isn't any room on the right side next to 330. Mm-hmm. And there isn't anything on the opposite side next to the Brigham property.
Mm-hmm.
So the only place it could almost go is in the rear, but that's where you have a turnaround area. So there's really not a lot of space on this property to have one. So
here's the thing: an accessory unit, again, a shed can be as close to the property line as 5 feet. So a detached structure, even a 24 by 24 garage. As long as it's no taller than 24 feet, I think, can be as close as 5 feet to the property line. So that's going to be a building inspector situation. So assuming they go for a permit for a shed or something like that, then I'm going to drop this one on Mr. Rubel. 67. Question is, do we leave it in there or not?
I would
Well, the
take it
second
out.
half could stay without any problem.
Structures and
Structures
development
and
shall be
development
considered
shall be considered-
non-conforming, and no exterior alterations, expansions, or changes to the initially constructed structures shall be permitted. I like that. Within the buildings.
Main secondary above ground structures may only be constructed
Within the building setback. Oh, within the building setback envelope. Sorry, and that's not gonna work.
Oh.
If you take out that first sentence and do what Mr. Galley said, the structures and development shall be considered non-conforming, and no exterior alterations, expansions, or changes to the initially constructed structures shall be permitted, whether within or outside the building envelope shown on the final site plan, unless approved by the board as a modification to the comp permit. I like what Mr. Galley said. Strike the first sentence, but leave the last one. That work?
Works for me.
Done. In the event of any conflict between the conditions imposed by this comp permit and the terms of any other document or agreement regarding this development, the terms and conditions of this comprehensive permit shall control. Okay?
Yeah.
Applicant shall execute any and all documents that may be required by the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development to confirm the issuance of this comp permit and or the construction of housing units so that the affordable unit will be included in the town's subsidized housing inventory. The applicant shall provide a copy of all such documents to the board. Stays. Appeals of this permit may be made pursuant to that. We're at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just the waiver list.
All right, that's the waiver list. Do we want to add anything else specific? I know with the last one and this one, I think we should include Pat's waivers that he's put together. Did I email that to everybody? I emailed everybody Pat's waivers, right?
Yeah.
All right. I got 20 and 9. I got everybody rubbing their eyes. I got everybody tired. I've had 6 cups of coffee today, so I'm raring to go. But
Literally raring to go, Rob.
exactly. So everybody's beaten. I understand that. Do we want to cry? We've gone at this for 3 hours now. 6:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, plus the hour before. So we're literally 3 hours deep into this. We've covered almost everything on Concord Street, and technically we've got that under control. All right, I think we've got that under control at this point, and we're trying to get Schoolhouse done to help them with their financing deadline. So that's the one I think that we need to concentrate on. Question, do we need Thursday?
I think we need to give, and I'm trying to be polite, I think we need to give Deb a reasonable amount of time to type some of this stuff out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, this is my biggest concern. And I think 320 Concord Street at this point, we should hold off even getting a draft together until the other one's done. Because we'll still have like.
I think it'll be easier for you to do one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally believe as long as we're still within 40 days, knocking out the Schoolhouse one should be fairly simple,
Right.
you know, based on our discussion.
Mhm.
It looks like we may need a little bit more time because we don't have a template for the Maplewood Estates one, and it may require more typing anyway. So just as a practical matter, it might take us a little longer to get that into a format.
Right.
And just as a reminder, we had a previous deliberation on 320 Concord, so we already discussed some of those other conditions you were just asking about.
What I'd like to see is those that we've already talked about, Pat's conditions, kind of put together, condensed, and inserted into both of them somewhere. I don't care where at this point, even because you saw how they were doing different headings for each subgroup of conditions. If there's one peer review, the conditions as recommended by peer review, and have that in there somehow, some way. as its own section. And that should be in both of these, because again, Pat's conditions were mostly during construction and not site specific, so that they should be able to work for both of the places.
Mhm.
Where did, in this one that we did in 320 that we're talking about now, we did not talk about specifics when it came to the construction routing. After discussion, I don't think we can really tell people how to drive their construction, get their trucks to the site. The police department, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Baker Senior, the police department does have rules and regulations and on how to make that work.
And
So-
Mr. Zioli is requesting us to have the applicant get in contact with him
Mhm.
before any construction, so they can set up the details and the routes and all that stuff.
Which I believe we talked about in this. I'm pretty sure we talked about it in the other one. If it has to be more definitive, if it has to be a more definitive condition, then so be it. And either way, they're gonna have to set up something with the police department. All right, what else?
Was that a decision about Thursday? That seemed to be a.
I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. I'm throwing it out there. We hammered through this and really went through Schoolhouse. So Schoolhouse is in a very good position to have a pretty damn good rock solid draft that can go to Attorney Galvin for the final tweaks, which puts us in a good position. This one is going to take a lot of work on Deb's part, because we don't have a word template for it, unless we can get one, which
This one has the sooner deadline, right? This one has like the 31st or something as the deadline.
Deadline
the 31st was the deadline on this one.
on 320 Concord.
All right, but the one that we're trying to work, the one that we're trying to meet is the 24th for Schoolhouse.
Correct, which is next Tuesday.
Right. So here's the question. Do we, as a meeting, not as a hearing, but as a meeting, do we have to get together on Thursday? I'm more than willing to do it, because again, I have no life. So I'm more than willing to do this. But if the
It's really
board,
up to them.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
think
gonna
it-
have life either.
welcome to
I think
zoning.
I think what it comes down to is how much Deb and also Bob can get done reasonably
Mhm.
by Thursday, that we'd actually have something to do. And I think that, a 2-day time frame is putting an awful burden, certainly
If we
on
don't-
Deb and also on Bob.
Yeah, we only kind of scheduled this Thursday meeting to as a just in case.
Yeah.
And and again, as a board, or as legal counsel, and very
I mean, I
important.
can tell you, I'm gonna need like 3 or 4 hours probably of, just uninterrupted time to do with that. And
I dig it. I don't, and again, if nobody else, I don't necessarily think that we need to convene on Thursday, because right now.
I think it might be a little ambitious to be
Right.
candid.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me ask this. Would it be reasonable, and I'm posing this to both Deb and to Bob, would it be reasonable to have something sent out to the members for their review prior to the 24th? So we'll actually have something substantive to discuss on the 24th?
Yeah.
I can send you a draft, but you all can't comment on it until you're in a meeting.
Oh, no, I
okay?
understand that.
Yeah.
But rather than seeing the draft for the first time at the meeting, which I don't think is.
Oh, yeah,
gonna-
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
The second that I'm done with it, I'll send it to all of you.
So let me just pull up my calendar here again. I'm gonna stop sharing. Gonna close this.
So it seems like we'll be in good shape for next Tuesday
I think
or
so.
something. My concern would be
Yeah.
that to make sure we have enough time to literally, we have to make a decision on 320
Yep.
by the 31st, and I think that's not even wasn't that a Monday?
It's 2
That's
weeks.
not
after.
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday. So it's 2 weeks. So
We can
31st.
always ask Mr. Petrosi for a couple of extra days too. I'm sure he'd probably give it to us if we needed it.
Jenny Galvin, doesn't this have to be,
The decision has to be
Date
filed
stamp
40
with the
days
town
from the close.
with
The decision has to be filed with the town clerk within 40 days of the close of the public hearing.
so the 31st wouldn't work for us.
well, and I imagine that Mr. Petrosi would want to review the decision as
Well,
well.
We can give it to him, but he can't give us any comments. He can't
Yeah.
give you all any
Right.
comments.
Not in advance. Right.
Nope. Nope. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to go over it. We're gonna make the decision, based on the findings that we have to deal with. We're gonna make the decision, we make the decision. If it's denied, it's denied on either one of these. If it's denied, it's denied. If it's approved with conditions, we're gonna have to go over each and every condition and literally watch the applicant's face as we read them. If he winces, then we know we got an issue with that condition, and he may want to discuss that. But even at that, he's still can't.
Like, yeah, Rob, like we can't take any public input. It's,
Right.
we're in board deliberation only. So,
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Saying we come up with the conditions, and that's it.
I
And
mean,
either he lives with them or he appeals them.
I think it's a practical matter. Petrosi wants what he shows on the plan.
Right.
And subject to the things that we warned him about, maybe that's the way it'll be. I don't know. But then, he's going to want to deal with any appeals if there are any. And, if he thinks that any condition you've opposed on it is so onerous that he can't build the project, he'll appeal to the Housing Appeals Committee. So, we just do the best we can do, and we try to do what you all think in good conscience we should do on a project like this.
We have to have School Street to the town clerk by the 27th.
I think I think the plan is for Deb and I to really try to hammer this out between ourselves probably before the end of the week. So then you'll have over the weekend to review it and comment on it for yourself, and just be prepared to go page by page and try to go through it quickly next Tuesday and get it done.
And remind me, do we have a meeting scheduled on the 24th?
We do not,
You
All
should
right,
schedule one then.
yeah, I'll schedule it.
All right, schedule a meeting on the 24th, 7:30 preferably. That way, I don't think this is the only thing that we're really gonna deal with, I think.
By the way, just thinking about something that was said before, I think Memorial Day might be the 31st.
No, Memorial Day is the 30th.
30th.
30th. Oh, okay. Okay.
That's
But
why I
if
said
we, but if we
Does
do,
that give us an extra day?
well,
Nice try.
it's the other way around. If we decide to put a meeting on the 31st to talk about 320, then we have to advertise it that much farther in advance.
We have to, the 48 hours starts on that Thursday prior.
That Wednesday.
But as was already pointed out, the 31st is our deadline to get the decision to the town clerk, which we
Giles.
can't do if we don't do it until the evening of the 31st.
Correct.
So maybe the other thing is, why don't you just schedule a meeting for next week on the 24th? Okay, and then if we think we're going to need a couple of days, why don't I contact Mr. Petrosi and ask him if we could have to the end of the week of that week? That way you can meet on the 31st and you can finalize the decision.
until June 3rd or 6th.
That
Well,
would
do you
be,
want to do that anyway?
why don't I ask him till June 3rd? Tell him that we're going to probably try to finalize and vote this on the 31st.
Yep.
And ask him for a few more days.
We'll have the meeting on the 31st. That gives us the ability to go through the final decision or is the final conditions, make the decision, get it all put together, and then literally I meet Deb
And
in the
and by the
morning.
way, just for this next meeting on the 24th, I'll give you some draft motions and findings.
Okay.
All right, so that you're a little bit more organized in terms of what you actually have to vote.
Yep.
That'll make it easier for you all and streamline the process. You won't be guessing about what you have to vote.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So that takes care of the 24th. And again, for the 31st,
We'll do the
make
same
the
thing for the
decision, the
31st.
whole 9 yards. And then on the 1st, I get together with Deb, sign it, and town clerk gets it. So
Correct.
Okay, do we need any kind of a motion to dispense with Thursday's meeting?
it was only a meeting. It wasn't a hearing.
It's a meeting.
Yeah,
You
do
could
we have
just,
to?
It's been posted. I posted it today. Well, actually,
You could just update the agenda to say it's been canceled.
Done. All right, that makes it easy. All right, so there's that. Yeah. And again, this is just a meeting. Do we need I don't think we need a motion to schedule a meeting on Tuesday.
No.
So there's that. We're okay there.
What are we doing with schoolhouse?
Schoolhouse, that's the first one that gets worked on, and on the 24th, again, it's just a meeting, it's not a hearing. But we will be, I'm assuming that we'll be making the final decision on the 24th. The schoolhouse.
Hey, Rob, I have to go upstairs to the selectmen's meeting. Okay.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Galvin.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, so we're in a good position. We're in a good position. We don't need any kind of motion or vote to cancel the meeting on Thursday. Deb, you can just update that agenda and
So-
say that cancel.
yeah, I'll take care of the scheduling. So I think just because of the time crunch.
Mhm.
The waivers are pretty much good to go.
Yep.
The conditions, I can put together the draft.
And
Get,
Bob's gonna take care of it from there. Now that he's gone, now we can throw him under the bus. You get a good draft together, it goes
but
to
kind
Bob.
of do it like piecemeal, like draft the different sections in piecemeal,
Mhm.
which we can put together.
Merge in the end. Yep.
So so what do I do now? I do that, and who do I send it to? Like to the board or to
Bob.
Attorney Galvin?
Bob.
Just Attorney
For him to
Galvin.
do his thing. And then
He's gonna
that's
massage
what-
that thing.
okay,
And
okay.
it comes back to you
Okay,
for dissemination to us, so we can all look at it.
on
Have
the
something-
24th.
Yeah,
prior
so
to
we
the
can have- yeah, so we can preview everything and have a better understanding of everything on the 24th, which says that more than likely on the 25th, you'll probably be doing some
Minor
last minute red lines and stuff
revision.
like that. You know, we get a final copy together, I'll come in, sign it, and we go to
Allow it.
Liza.
Okay. Okay,
So that be that. It's just a matter of, again, is that one extra day gonna screw up Attorney Feely? He was very anal about the dates and stuff, so
I
I just
know,
want to make sure that,
I'm
Do me a
not sure if
favor.
he was here tonight. I don't think, I didn't see him on the list.
no, I didn't see anybody either. I didn't see anybody either, so, it's. Let's see, don't report.
Just
Yeah,
remember,
it's,
too, all the voting members have to sign. So
Yes, everybody's gonna sign.
all right, so.
And also, I believe that Stephen cannot make the 24th.
Yeah, I'm going out of town.
Yeah, are you a
Yeah.
voting, you're not a voting member on Schoolhouse though, right?
I don't, Greg was, and I thought I was.
TBD.
covering, Couldn't vote.
Yeah, well, it was because there was that one, that one, he wasn't there. So you took
Right,
his,
right.
you took his place during that meeting for discussion purposes.
Yeah.
Mullen, did you guys already did this, right?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right,
Submitted that.
because you weren't there. Did you do a Mullen thing for it?
Yeah, I think so.
Deb, did he do a Mullen thing for the date that he wasn't there, that Steve stepped in?
Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
He didn't, we didn't do the Mullen for the meeting last week yet.
Because all it was a meeting. It
Correct,
wasn't a hearing.
correct.
All right,
But we
I don't,
did, we've done Mullins for all of the hearings, dates that
Okay.
anybody missed. They're signed, they're filed.
all right, can we just cover our butts? Can you do one for the
Yes.
meeting? All right, so
Yeah.
you guys can just cover our butts, just get it in the
Yep, will
file.
do.
All right, I'm done. Everybody just go home. I'm hungry. I'm assuming everybody else is.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, hold
Wait,
on.
wait,
Deb's got
wait, no.
Deb's got a couple other questions
Oh,
here.
sorry.
Do you want me to reach out to Mike Feely
Yes, please.
and tell him what?
Just ask him, just because the way everything's working, we're looking to have the decision. We're looking to have a decision made on the 24th. Subject to revisions. There's going to be a couple little revisions and stuff like that. I guarantee it. It always happens. All right. So we make the decision, and then you make the revisions. Thursday, that's Tuesday, Wednesday morning. I come in, look at everything. Maybe there's two copies. One copy with a red line, and the other copy, the final copy. So at least when I go to, because then I'm going to go to all the board members, find everybody. I'll get it all signed by everybody, bring it back to you, and then we file it.
So majority rules, it doesn't have to be unanimous, correct?
I think it has to be,
I thought 40Bs was simple majority.
yeah, it's 3-2.
Okay. All right.
Does that work? We got a rough idea of how we're going to proceed with this? Yes? Everybody's good? Everybody's happy?
Yes. Yes.
Did I hear a motion?
All
Yes.
right, made it.
All right,
Second.
I got a second. And we've continued Shingle Mill, so we're all good. Roll call, Mr. Baker Senior.
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
they got a yes. Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
and because we love you, Mr. Galley.
Yes.
Rock and roll. All right, everybody get out of here. Just enjoy the
Thank
rest
you,
of the
everyone. Have a good night.
Tuesday night, enjoy Thursday night, and we'll keep it rolling.
Bye.